What is a patriot? A patriot is someone that loves Christ, country, and their family and neighbors. Someone who is willing to stand up for what's right. Although there may be a cost to them, someone who has overcome fear, because fear is of Satan, willing to go the extra mile to do and show what's right. The only reason I'm on YouTube is because of God. I feel it is my destiny, my duty to do and say the things God shows me, or else I'm no good to God at all. All patriots must stand up or risk losing God, country, and family. This is all of our destiny, to do God's work. Thanks to all who watch my videos. But remember, it's not about us, but about our children, our country, our God. Thank you. And hello, everyone. Hope everybody's had a good day. Hello, Miss Karen. Good to see you, girl. Welcome, Miss Karen. I seen Butterfly in there somewhere. There she is. Hello, Butterfly. Welcome, girl. Good to see you. Kim's Creations. Good to see you, Kim. Welcome. Let's see. Got anybody else here? I'm looking. LSP. How's it going, brother? Good to see you, LSP. You're listening? Well, hey, that works. And Travis Joe, our old buddy TJ. How you doing, TJ? Good to see you, brother. And welcome. Maybe God planned this movie just for you. The enemy will do anything to confuse us. I could not possibly agree more. But, oh, hey, there's Jerry Lee. Hello, Jerry Lee. Welcome, brother. Good to see you. Much love to you. Much love to all you guys. Miss Cheryl Rich is here. Hello, Miss Cheryl. Yeah, I'm feeling a little better. I mean, you know, can't let a little bit of sickness keep us down, and definitely can't let it keep us out of the game. But I had a pretty good night's rest, and night and more than half the day. So, you know, I'm doing all right, I guess. But I watched a little bit of Hawk today, and I was in the chat for a little while. Thought about going up on there with him, but I thought I'd save my strength for tonight. So here I am. And, in case anyone is wondering about, hello, Jody Terry. Welcome. Good to see you. Give me a thumbs up. Hey, that'll work. God's blessings to you too, Jody. And thank you. And when Hawk goes off, if he does go off tonight, we'll drop back over. But anyway, in case anyone's wondering about the title of my show tonight, well, there's Miss Sharon Steinspring. I didn't see you, Miss Sharon. Forgive me. How you doing, Miss Sharon Steinspring? Good to see you. Welcome, girl. Mayor. What's up, Mayor? Good to see you, too. Welcome, girl. Anyway, the title of my show is not so much because of any videos that I have got or hadn't got or anything like that. It's just I felt for a long time, that this battle was won from the get-go. I mean, I can't imagine Satan ever defeating God in any way whatsoever. And like I always say, I don't think for a minute that Trump is Jesus Christ or anything near that. I just think that maybe he is God's chosen one for this time, to lead the battle. I don't know how else to put it. If anyone's got any better ideas or better explanation for it, I would love to hear it. But I just don't know what else it could be, other than that. Mr. William Gramer, hello there, brother. Welcome. Good to see you, William. But to be truthful, I'm just, I don't think I've been beating around the bush about it, about feeling that God is one, is what I'm saying. But I feel like I could have said more too. I don't know what else it would have been, but I probably could have said more. Miss Sharon Mercy, good to see you, girl. Welcome. Welcome. There's Hawk. What's up, Hawk? On my last video now. Okay. All right. Appreciate that, Hawk. And sorry I couldn't be up on with you today or in the chat any longer. I was just trying to save my strength for tonight. But good to see you, Hawk. And welcome, brother. Estua. How you doing there, Estua? Good to see you. Welcome. And I honestly don't think I've been beating around the bush about, the war being won by God, because I think it was won the minute God decided to step in. And I think we're getting to that end point now where he's going to reveal exactly how much, or, let me rephrase that, exactly how soon it will be done. Chessboard. Hello, welcome, brother. Good to see you. I'm not feeling a lot better, but I'm good enough to be on here, Chessboard. Thank you, brother. Salt and Light. Hello, Salt. Welcome, girl. Good to see you. Unspecified Podcast. Mr. Landon is here. Welcome, Landon. Good to see you, brother. Always good to see you, Landon. But I can't lose my train of thought, which ain't hard for me to do, y'all. I think y'all already know that. But with all the stuff that's been happening around the world and in Israel, I know that Q said they're saving Israel for last, but to me, I definitely think it's Switzerland. Almost has to be the last one because of that's more or less where the head of the snake is. And I guess this all depends on how much, how they went about killing the snake itself. It could be, maybe the head was chopped off a while back and Israel was a part of the snake that's still wiggling around. I don't know. Maybe not. Because I've heard several months ago that the French Foreign Legion had done some things there in Sweden that took out a few things. I'm not going to say what they are because I'd like to stay up here for a while longer, if y'all know what I mean. Thank you, Salt. I appreciate that. I don't feel 1,000% better, but I still feel better. Man, I'll tell you what, last night I literally thought I was going to pass out while I was sitting here, and I didn't want to do that, and then not be able to say anything or whatever when I needed to. So I just decided to get out of there while I still had a chance. Just talking about William earlier. I hope it was good things. Yeah, I hope it was good things. Yeah, I think I did, Chessboard. Let me go back. I'll go back and check here in a few minutes when I'm planning my first video. But I'm pretty sure I did. I know I checked last night. But I was feeling so bad, I don't remember if I did or not. Or if I got the email or not. I think I did, though. Yeah, my cigarette went out. But believe me, we've been talking about 11, 111 or 1111 and before ones 1111 for months now, if not years. And so, guess what Saturday is? It's 11/11. 11/11. So, when you put 11/11 in there and all the things that we've been sharing about it and talking about it, something has got to be happening here soon. I'm not giving out any dates. I'm not saying anything's going to happen on Saturday or any other day. I'm just saying, if you use common sense, it's kind of hard to ignore the date along with everything else that has happened in the world leading up to this. And then from the 17th through the 20th, could be some very, very exciting times when you consider our money situation, the stock market and things like that. Amiana, how nice to have you here, Amy. Amy, I hope I'm saying that right. All right, well, thank you, Amy. Hawk was just here, and he said he's got one more video to show, and then he'll be back over. So I hope you come back along too, Amy. Good to see you and welcome. Oops. Exactly, Janice R. Nobody knows the hour. That's exactly right. Sure don't. And believe me, I don't claim to. But I'm just saying, when you put everything together with what's been happening in the world and here, and around the world, and use a little bit of common sense, and particularly when you're one of God's children, which I think we all are, well, then it's kind of hard not to put things together. Thank you, Miss Cheryl. Appreciate you too, and welcome, girl. I don't know if I welcomed you in or not, but if I didn't, well, welcome. I'm having a hard time remembering my own name, so y'all forgive me. Oh, she says, yes, is am I? Am I? I hope I'm saying it right this time. Am I? All right. If I ain't saying that right now, am I? Please let me know. Mr. John Dunning, welcome, sir. Good to see you. Welcome, John. But I can tell you this: I have a very strong belief in God and our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and I think that my own beliefs, my own feelings, in my own heart, are that we're coming upon the time to celebrate. Not saying that we're not going to have a tough time between now and then. Still, okay, it's am me. Okay, am me. All right, I think I got you this time, Amy. Amy. That's said about 20 times, so I'll be sure to remember it. You sure are, William. You've been there for a while. Not necessarily in a good way, though. Just playing with you, William. But I got to tell you, it makes me feel, and I'm always talking about not being fearful, and I truthfully mean that. If you're one of God's children, then there's no reason to be fearful. If you're fearful, that's just giving power back to Satan, in my opinion. And I think that is the honest truth when you do that, when any of us do it. The only thing I'd be fearful of, if anything, would be God himself or Christ coming down and giving me just a halfway mean look at, in the eye. He wouldn't have to stick a sword in me. I might just fall dead right there. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think that's going to happen, because I think he's going to be just like the Bible describes it. He's going to be welcoming his bride. And how many grooms do you see looking at their bride in a mean way? I've never seen one. Not saying that there hadn't been, maybe they hid it or something. I don't know, but I've never seen one. Travis Joe says, if someone receives $1, they believe they must pay tax on it. If they give away $1, they're required to pay a tax. It only takes a few exchanges to create debt to the printing press. So a few exchanges create debt to the printing press. Well, I guess you could say that too. But, the way they set up this whole monetary system and everything has been, as we all know, to keep us all enslaved forever. And if there are plans that have been carried out, that's exactly what would have happened. And I'm saying right now, the more we pray now, the far better off we're going to be. Because we've gotten through a bit of this fight without being harmed, don't mean that we're going to get through the rest of it without being harmed. Or, I don't know. What I'm trying to say, I guess, is that I think God protects his people. Or I know he protects his people. But if you happen to be standing in the very place that a bomb goes off, well, bad things might happen. So try not to be standing in one of those places. Ronnie, be careful. I have 2 guys that would defend me. Yeah. Well, I'll be careful, William. I'll be careful. Mr. Mike Jones is in the house. Hello, Mike. Good to see you, brother. Welcome. And Silver Girl is here. Welcome, Silver Girl. Good to see you, girl. It's good to see you, Silver Girl. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Oh, sorry, Mike. I didn't see your question there. How am I doing today? I'm doing better than I was last night, but still not as good as I want to be. It's something when when you get old, it's just an amazing thing what happens to your body. I mean, when I was even 50 and in my 60s, I never ran out of energy. I ain't saying I didn't get tired, but I don't remember running totally out of energy like I did last night. I guess it could be a combination of several things, that goes on in the body as you get older. I don't know. All I know is that, I was out of it last night, whatever it was. Janice says, if we all stop paying attention, etc., they'd pay attention bigly. Oh, paying. And yeah, they sure would. No doubt about it. The economy is designed to draw the energy out of us with the currency. Oh, I agree, John. I agree. And in more ways than one. Steve-O, what's up, brother? Good to see you. Welcome, Steve-O. It's been a while. But I just hope my message is that, we, even though we've all put our faith in God, and believed in God for probably our whole lives, I think it's time we all put our faith in him even more. And this is the way I look at it now, the more we believe, the more we pray, for good things to happen and send our energy up to God, the more likely those good things are to happen. If we don't pray and we just think, well, what's going to happen? It's going to happen. That's where we get in trouble. Mr. Bobby, hello, brother. Welcome. Good to see you, Mr. Bobby. But I don't think any of us here are going to be doing that. I would love to have some of y'all's feelings on this subject. I know y'all believe in God, but my feeling is that even starting today or tomorrow, however you want to look at it, and the rest of this month, I think it'd be very big. I don't know that. I'm just saying it could be big. It's like something that's been building up, for a long time. Well, it's like a a boyfriend or girlfriend is mad at the other one about something, but they don't say anything, and they let it stay inside and stay inside. And before long, the least little thing, boom, and it all erupts. So that's more or less what I'm saying, is that, this has been building up for so long that it's got to happen. It's at some point, at least start to happen. I guess this is aimed at me, probably because you're closer to a battle axe and a long ways from spring chicken. Well, there ain't no doubt about that, Salt. I'm here to tell you. They misuse the money. I'm done. Have been for 20 years. Property tax only. Yeah, Janice, and that's another thing we should never have to pay. Once anybody pays for their home, land, or whatever, that should be it. But it's just another way of them saying, hey, you don't own a damn thing. This is ours. If it wasn't ours, you wouldn't have to be paying this on it. I mean, this tax thing has been a crookery forever. Travis says, hey, Ronnie, are future generations becoming lazy, or are they discovering how past generations have been taken care of, have been taken advantage of? Are future generations becoming lazy? Well, my truthful answer to that is I think that parents, not just today, but for a long time, have tried to be more friends with their kids than parents. Just my way of feeling things. And so when you try to be a friend to your kid instead of a parent, the child grows up not to respect you as much as they would if you had tried. And I'm not talking about beating them or anything like that, but I am talking about punishing them when they need it. A lot of parents just let them, they don't care. They might scream at them a little bit and then let them go. But to me, that's not being a parent. Let's see. I missed something here. Then all of a sudden we started hearing about Germany moving troops. I missed something there. I don't know what it was. Well, hello, Indy. Just saw you, girl. Welcome. Beautiful Indy is in the house. Good to see you, Indy. Welcome, girl. CERN is in Switzerland, so is UN headquarters. Head of snake. Indeed, as you said, Ronnie. They certainly are. And look into CERN real deep, and you might find what I'm talking about with the French Foreign Legion and all. Now, I think I spoke of it a few months back. May not have, but if I didn't, I meant to. I'm still trying to figure out what Lanham was talking about here. Then all of a sudden we start hearing about Germany moving troops. Anyway, I don't put stock in it, but I'm watching. I wish I knew what you was referring to there, Landon, but darn if I know. I'll be totally honest, I don't get the optimistic vibe during these times, but my faith has always been in God. He's always been there. Well, that's where, at least for me, Kim, my optimism comes in at. If it wasn't for God, believe me, I wouldn't have any optimism. But it's for me, it's a belief in God and a belief in the Bible, and then putting those two together. That's where I get my inspiration at. And I probably, I would imagine a lot of the credit, at least for me, goes to my mom and dad in the way they raised me. I mean, we went to church and believe me, got our butts beat when we needed it. Mr. Bob says, French Foreign Legion, this news to me, interesting. Dig a little bit, Mr. Bobby. Dig a little bit more. That's what I was talking about. I still don't understand what you. I wish I knew what you're saying, Landon, but darn if I get it. You talking about the troops moving around the world, or well, there's if that is what you're saying. I don't know that it is, but got to remember we're in a movie. I mean that is the main thing about all this is remembering we're in a movie. We're just. I think, and it ain't just my opinion, but it's partly my opinion. I mean, I'm in this with a lot of other people, but I think what we're witnessing now is what happened and what would have happened had not God intervened. And so even though it looks really tough right now, and in a lot of ways it is tough, and it'll get tougher, we'll all come through it all right. We just got to keep praying. One comment up. Okay, let me go back up there and see if I can find it there. All right, let's see. I'm looking for Landon's comment. If I can find it. Well, it must have been a way back up. Let's see. All right. Well, I'm still looking, Landon. I don't see it yet. Darn, I don't know. Sorry about that, man, and I can't find it, brother. I would love to, because I honestly don't know what you're talking about there. Well, I suppose it's meant in regards to crisis sectors and hoaxes, I suppose. Oh. Big Chap, what's going on, brother? Good to see you. Welcome, Chap. My brother, Big Chap, is in the house. Yeah, we definitely all need to do that, John. No doubt about it. But I all I know is my opinion of it all, and I definitely think that we are in a movie that has been. As a matter of fact, that's in a lot of Trump's speeches he talks about people from central casting, straight out of central casting. I think he's telling us right there that we're in a movie. And exactly, Steve-O. Exactly, brother. That's what it means. Discipline doesn't mean beating. It means to discipline, which to me means to explain, to communicate, so that the one being disciplined understands what was wrong with their actions. Yeah, and if it comes to it, what does a little slap on the hand hurt? I mean, believe me, if my kids need a slap on the hand, they got it, and sometimes more than that. And I never beat them. I'm not saying that I didn't feel like it sometimes, but I never beat them. But yeah. And there's a link to Committee on Public Information. That must have come straight out of Joe's White House. I mean, I don't know. You can do that too, Travis Joe. Exactly. Oh, wrong one. Oh, let's see. When I scroll up, I can't ever find what I'm looking for. See, what you hit on every good point, because I never understood as a child what I was doing wrong. Well, my kids understood because they didn't do it no more, at least for the most part. The war starts in the minds. I agree with that. There you go. Exactly what Travis said there. My dad set me straight by just looking at me. And that's, believe me, and I wish some of my kids was here, you could ask them. All I had to do was look at them. Most time, after they knew I meant what I said, of course, I had to get my point across, a time or two. And I ain't talking about beating them or anything, because I never did that. But once I got my point across, then all I had to do was look. They knew exactly what I meant. And that too, Mike. Yep, that too. You got that right, Mr. William. Ronnie has another show for us all. He's got a damn good show. Right on, William. Brother LSP. How's it going tonight, LSP? Good to see you, brother. Exactly, Mary, exactly. My kids knew the look. Yes. Yep, my son says I have a look. Says Janice, exactly. Did you get that cold chill down your back at that look? Well, I tell you what, particularly if my dad looked at me in that way, I done more than get a cold chill down my back. I got a shiver down my spine, and I mean, scared the crap out of me. Yeah, I got that done Monday, Sharon. I got to go tomorrow to find out the results. Tomorrow afternoon. Mr. Bob said I had good conduct in school, but glad the brainwashing didn't get to me. Went in one ear and out the other, thankfully. Yeah, me too. And as a matter of fact, well, I won't go any farther than that. Big Chap says, I've been teaching myself ER wound care, how to apply chest seals, pack wounds, control bleeding, sutures, everything. They've been buying some gear, but it's on the cheap. Well, hey, I would imagine the cheap stuff works as good as the high price stuff. But good for you, Chap. And I'll tell you what, that's something we all should do, particularly me, because, man, I'll tell you, the sight of blood, or well, let me put it this way. Before I ever quit framing houses, my son was working with us. And he was a grown man now. He knew what he was doing. But we were framing a house, and for whatever reason, he's right-handed, but for whatever reason, he's using his left hand with a nail gun to nail a wall together, and nails his hand into the wall. Oh, man. I could not make myself even look at it, much less try to pull the nail out. Good thing my younger brother was there, because he didn't have no problem doing it. He just cut the board in two on a couple of ends, on each end, and then took his hammer. He was free. That was something. Chaps, I get my stuff from regular big bow stores and make my own kit. Right on, chap. Oh, it's the wrong one. Oh, here it was. I've been preparing myself, Sharon, to go in tomorrow, and when I see him, and for him to say, well, I've done everything I can do to save your life. Bye. Something along those lines. Because I know they're going to say, you wouldn't do this and you wouldn't do that. You've done everything we told you not to do, which is basically true. I mean, they've tried to get me to do a lot of things that I haven't done and ain't going to do. But that's because of the things I've learned over the past few years. You felt that story, Elaine? Well, believe me, it was true. I mean, a big dummy. And it wasn't like he didn't have the experience using a nail gun. He'd used nail guns for a long time. And still puts the nail gun in a hand that he don't use and tries to use it to nail on the other side. Big dummy. But I hope he learned from that. That's for darn sure, chap. Well, if you're bleeding out, bro, you won't care if the bandages come from Walmart or Major or the Dollar Tree. I wouldn't. Just stop me from bleeding. There you go. Miss Jewis is big chap. Maybe we'll do a live on that sometime. You ought to, chap. There's lots of very interesting and useful things that chap could do lives on. That he ought to. I mean, he talked about them, a little bit when me and him was on together. But man, if he just dig in there and tell all he knows about survival stuff and everything, he could probably he could be like Hawk, go all day and all night and half the next day. And maybe longer. That's right, Landon. Well, I think what his problem was is he was in a hurry to get that wall built because, we're always in a hurry, because the way I looked at it, we didn't start framing the house, and we had to finish. If we started framing the walls on a house, we'd finish it that day. We wasn't going to leave until the walls were stood up and all the studs and everything nailed down. So that's what he was in a hurry about, I do believe. Although I never questioned him about it, I would think that's probably what it was. But whatever it was, he nailed his right hand to the wall with his left hand. Oh man! But anyway, y'all ready to hear some sword dance? I should have done it, but got busy talking and didn't do it. I wouldn't normally do this in the middle of my Trump dance song here, sword dance, whatever you want to call it. But Chrissy Cat is here. Welcome, Chrissy Cat. Good to see you, girl. Been a while. Welcome, Chrissy. So yet again, I ask, if all these people and countries submitted, who is left to fight? Who is it? There is no one. I mean, that's just the only one that's left to fight is ourselves. That's my opinion. We're only fighting our inner battles with our inner emotions, egos, whatever you want to call it. That's my opinion of it. And I strongly believe that because, and I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm so damn old. I don't know that I feel that way. I have no idea why it is, other than I believe in God. You know, and I just believe that's why I play that video before every show, because I truthfully believe that the war, if you want to call it a war, has been won. We're still in a spiritual battle, no doubt about it. You know, you gotta just pick which lane you're going to be in. Are you going to be in the devil's lane, or are you going to be in, I got the wrong, left hand, devil's lane, right hand, God's lane? Myself, I'm in the right hand lane with Christ. And so, you know, I'm just ready to lay it all out there and quit pussyfooting around about it. I'm not saying that I'm trying to piss anybody off, because I'm not. I'm just talking about me, myself, you know, holding back on a lot of the things that I should have said a long time ago regarding my Lord and Savior, our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And I think that the more and the closer we all get to Christ, the better off and the easier everything's going to be. Because, you know, I do think then when that day rolls around and Christ comes back, I don't even think he's going to have to come back before then. I think that he'll be protecting us before he comes back from the bad things that could have happened. In other words, you know, if there's 1,000 evil people on one side of the street and 1,000 God's people right across the street, the people on the wrong side might have some bad stuff happen to them, but the ones on God's side will be safe as if they're in their mama's arms. Yeah, oh, I know, chap, but you know what? I've held back because, you know, I've been trying to keep from offending people in the way they feel, and I do respect other people's opinions a lot. I mean, you know, their opinions are as valid as mine, you know, but like you said, it's my show. And so if I see something that, or feel something, well, then I'm going to start saying it. You know, only got one life. And I think it's time for me to start throwing my cards on the table. Mike said, did we not throw 3 in the fire? I said, yes, exactly, Mike. Exactly. In the oven? Yes. Threw 3 of them in there. Daniel, Meshach, and I can't pronounce the other guy's name. Abednego, or however you say it. But there were 4 in there. And the other one was Christ, or an angel of God, however you want to look at it. And they came out, didn't have one burnt spot on them, didn't even have a singe on their coats. So I just, you know, it's just for me, it's a great thing to have Christ in your heart, because, you know, when you know, I'm talking about in my case now, you know, when you get right down to it, it's not only me. I'm sure there's other people in this chat that has the same thing going on. You know, I'll just speak to myself, staring right down death's throat, you know, with them saying that I have cancer. I realized I could die. I don't want to die from cancer or anything else. But it sure makes you really look inward to yourself and ask, have I done this right? Have I done that right? Is there more I could do? Should I have said or done things differently in the past that I could say or do differently now that might matter? And that's what I'm saying. Not that I'm setting out to to hurt anybody's feelings or to denigrate anybody's opinions of anything. It'll just be my opinion of where I stand on everything. That is where I stand. I mean, it's just that I feel, that I truly need to let out what I've been holding back, and that's what I intend to do. I mean, not that I ain't saying that I'm gonna come on and like tonight and let everything out in one show. I'm not here to rant. I'm just here to. What I'm saying is that from start tonight and from now on, that's what I'm going to do. Something needs saying. If I feel in my heart that it needs saying, I'm going to say it. If I may wind up with no subscribers at all, no one watching, period. If I do, well, that's just the way it is, But I don't think that'll be the case, because I'll be saying what's in my heart, what I truly believe God wants me to say, or I wouldn't be saying it. So that's where I'm coming from, and I hope no one took me the wrong way there. When Satan reminds you of your past, remind him of his future. Darn good, Mike. Right on, brother. Chris says we're all going to die. Some will know ahead of time, and some will not know before. Exactly, Chrissy. The thing is, speaking for myself again, I don't know if I would rather, not known or not. I'm still trying to figure that out. I guess in a way it's good, but in a way it's not either. But it is what it is. John said, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thank you, John. That's exactly right. When you got God with you, who is there to fear? No one. Travis says, Ronnie's helped me so much, I wish I could help him more. Oh, thank you, Travis, brother. But, and believe me, several people here have helped me. Chap being one, and Hawk being one. There's many people. Steve Harlow has helped me. Many people have helped, and I appreciate every last one of them. Chap has helped me many times. Chap is definitely a brother, and I just don't know what else, I could say or do to make that any better. Chap's just a great friend, and that's the truth. But anyways, there you go. How you doing, Navy Vet? Good to see you, brother. Please click the thumbs up and subscribe. Right on, brother. That's right. Y'all do what Navy Vet said. Anybody hadn't hit the thumbs up button yet? Come on, hit the thumbs up, hit the thumbs up, hit the thumbs up. I know LSP has. He always does. On his way in the door. And I'll bet most of you did. But I'm just saying, if anybody hadn't, please hit it. All right, now the next video I'm going to show is it's a little weird. I'll say that right up front. But it kind of gets a point across in many places that I think if y'all will hang out and watch it all, that you'll see what I'm talking about. And it's by a guy you all know but may not love. All right, well, he's the one that's been interviewed anyway. And so once it gets to playing, you'll see what I'm talking about. Chris says, I think about people in these chats a lot and pray for them. You and me both, Chrissy Cat, every night. Every night. I pray for everyone in these chats. In my chat, anyway. Mark says, behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. Exactly, Margaret. Oh, I know, chap. And believe me, that's the way I feel about you too, brother. I was just, I just wanted to give you your flowers where they were due. And it's just the honest truth. And you know it's the truth. You've helped out a lot. All right, let me see which one this is here. I said, all right. Well, I'm going to do this, make sure it'll show. Now, y'all watch for a few minutes before you get all carried away and decide to leave. Because there is some good information here, every now and then anyway.
Which were perceived to be crazy. And then suddenly, they start to move mainstream.
I'm waiting for someone to convince me that we don't live in a simulation.
What is real? How do you define real?
I stopped the video again. Shame on me. Hello, Kiss Off, and welcome back. It's good to see you. It's been a long time. Where you been? Welcome, Kiss Off.
If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, taste, and see, then real is simply electrical
MLP,
signals
hello.
by your brain. What if all you ever knew was a lie?
Welcome to Crosstalk News. I'm Edward Zoll, and this is the wonderful Lauren Witzke. We have here with us also our co-host. He's not too happy today.
He's unionizing on us.
Unionized. He's been reading Karl Barks. He's decided, because he wasn't in the skit this week, that he's getting a little bit antsy.
Yeah.
But he's in good spirits. We also are in good spirits, too. We have an amazing interview coming up here.
Yes, we do. We got the legendary David Icke joining us to talk about Zelensky's recent decision to bring on Marina Abramovich as a ambassador to Ukraine, overseeing the schools. But also we go into a deep dive about reptiles, shapeshifters, different dimensions. It's a great interview. You guys are going to love it.
I think it's going to be really good. In regard to Vladimir Zelensky's, announcement, because she's getting brought in.
And just so y'all know, I did have a lot of other videos that I was going to play tonight, but Hawk beat me to them. So right on, Hawk, again.
As an ambassador officially, so now she's considered to be like a diplomat of Ukraine. She's going to be in charge of helping the health of kids, But if you don't know who this lady is, Marina Abramovich, she became very, very infamous when the WikiLeaks emails came out in 2016. There was a series of emails between John Podesta and Marina. And in these emails, it detailed John Podesta and others in the Clinton campaign attending what was called as a spirit cooking event.
Yes.
Spirit cooking, as you're seeing here on the screen, is not something that you'd want to bring your family to. It's not a happy-go-lucky church potluck. What they're wiping on the walls there are bodily fluids. It appears to be pig blood, they say, but according to the ritual, because this is indeed a satanic ritual, they say it is the reproductive fluids of human beings.
Yeah, and it's a satanic ritual. They try to pass it off as she's just a controversial artist. But who honestly does spirit cooking seances with government officials?
And witches do.
Witches do. She's a witch. I believe that Hillary Clinton was a witch too. There was the Podesta emails that said she was going out back to sacrifice a chicken to Moloch. Normal people don't talk like that.
Well, it also came out that she had several covens, like actual witch communities that were both praying for her, doing these weird rituals for her, and also doing rituals against her enemies. So this came out directly after the election. And then when her husband was the president of the United States, it also came out that she would attend witch gatherings. She also dressed up for Halloween as a witch. She's been called a witch long before people found out that she was murdering people. But with Hillary Clinton, Podesta's, pedophiles in general, we're actually going to talk to David Icke about this. This elite has been operating in the background for quite some time. They have several things that they love. They actually they fuel themselves off the energy of abused children, the fear of mankind, and of course they torture individuals and engage in this black magic because it's how they empower their agenda, Satan's agenda. And in respect to Marina, this isn't the first time she's been engaged with the Ukrainian Satanic Administration. Back in 2021, she was also employed to set up this really creepy monument. Of course, people get paid millions of dollars out of our taxpayer funds, mind you, to do crazy stuff. But this isn't like a llama farm that was one of the budget items a couple years ago. This is a satanic monument. As you're seeing on screen, Marina is like kind of like she's given this preview of what she was being paid to do. Now she's essentially been promoted. Now she's in charge of the children who've been going missing. The children that have been trafficked. I mean, Ukraine, long before the war, was known for sex trafficking.
Yes.
And it was also known as a very dark place with lots of black magic, a lot of, killings and blood harvesting, other stuff like that. I guess Marina is going to fit in just very easily in the Zelensky family.
Yeah, well, I mean, you have to think about why did he choose her? Why did he specifically choose her? I think that now Zelensky is really partnering with the Kingdom of Darkness to take down this Goliath, Russia, and it's evil. Like the Kingdom of Darkness is a well-oiled machine, and they are able to tap into demonic influences, put curses on people, that kind of thing. But that's what Zelensky chose to partner with. She is a witch. She does put curses on people. She does make light of harvesting children, sex trafficking. Her art is very, very perverse, and it's very dark.
They call it performance art, I guess, is the thing. It's the only thing she seems to be performing
evil.
is evil. And in respect to the overarching impact, I think, of this, this war, a lot of people they will watch this if they're more normal minded. They'll say, "What's wrong, guys? You guys are supporting the war. You're supporting Russia." No, what we're doing is we're pointing out evil, and also it brings to light. Vladimir Putin, he gave a speech back in 2021 when Marina Abramovich first started her relationship with Zelensky, and he spoke about a literal satanic elite that's running the West, and that they're being brought into his region to try to kill kids. They're trying to bastardize society. They're trying to poison, essentially the minds of the youth. And Vladimir Putin said at the time that he was going to take a stand to protect the young. I have to now wonder if that speech that Vladimir Putin gave in 2021 was in response to people like Marina Abramovich publicly being brought into, the power in Ukraine.
It was a really weird call, though. That's the thing. Like, that was a gutsy move to make her a notorious witch, a notorious participant in spirit cooking, and bring her on as an ambassador over children. I almost feel like they're mocking us because that America, the support of America in America's involvement in the war is plummeting. Polling numbers are showing that a majority of Americans don't want to continue funding this war. They want to end the handout, the military equipment that we're sending over there, another $24 billion. Zelensky had to come to D.C. in order to ask for it himself because polling numbers were so bad. Why would he choose Marina Abramovich to be an ambassador? That was a gutsy move.
I think he's making a deal with the devil.
Yes.
I think that he's making, we're talking about the extreme position that Ukraine's in. They are losing this war right now.
Yes.
It's taken a lot longer than many people thought it would take for Ukraine to fall apart. But it's because we've been using the full brunt of our production, our war machine of this country to back Ukraine, give them ammunition, give them soldiers. By the way, over the weekend, German soldiers actually died in Ukraine. The Russian media is reporting that in a tank that was blown up in Ukraine, it was one of the Leopard 2s, which were given by Germany. A German crew was actually running that tank. So they've been killed now. And the Wall Street Journal is reporting that U.S. soldiers and others are also being brought from injuries from Ukraine to Germany to get treatment. This war has become global. I mean, Sergei Lavrov, who's the foreign minister of Russia, he said at the UN last week that Russia is already at war with America.
Yes.
It's in this weird place where we don't call it an open war, but it is an open war.
Yeah, they don't want to declare it a war, but we are at war. And now Americans are dying too. And, they keep that secret that we have American soldiers over there. They're just like, oh, we're just sending them military equipment or money in order to help them. But you said Americans are getting injured. Soldiers are getting injured.
Yeah, according to the Wall Street Journal, they said they're being treated in hospitals and on U.S. bases in Germany. I bring all this up to say is that Volodymyr Zelensky knows he's in a rough situation.
Right.
He's in a tight situation. And of course, he's going to turn to black magic, possibly, to try to turn the way. So you literally now have witches and warlocks and black magic being employed to try to defeat Russia.
Yes.
Russia, the Christian nation.
Yeah.
So this country's also in throes through it. I know that there's a test coming up in the next week. Our cell phones, we've always treated them as listening devices.
Oh, right. Well, before we get to that, we want to take a moment to thank our sponsor. Please make sure you click the link in the description below. Right now, Goldco is giving away $10,000 in free silver for qualified accounts. Let them know that Crosstalk News sent you. Just sign up to get your free Roth IRA kit. That's all we ask. And that link is in the description below. Or you can call 855-966-5722. That's 855-966-5722. Or you can click the link in the description below. Get your free Roth IRA loophole kit and get up to $10,000 in free silver if you qualify.
And you can also buy gold and silver now.
You can also buy gold and silver as well, physical gold and silver.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, a lot of people have been prepping for the upcoming storms. I was saying just a moment about this test because it's another one of those warning signs of the government prepping for something crazy in the fall of this year. But in addition to that, a lot of people have been storing up food.
Yep.
We have our own sponsor for food, heavensharvest.com. Use promo code Crosstalk. You can get a good deal on survival buckets, water purification, and even books about farming. And for a lot of folks now, they want to also learn how to do some of these activities. So heavensharvest.com is
I got that water filter. It was really sweet. Like you can straight up get water out of a pool or the back of your toilet and it filters it out.
Have you tried
it's drinkable.
That?
Yeah.
You tried to drink toilet water?
I drink pool water.
Oh, you drank pool water?
It tastes like regular water.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, because he has hardcore filters. They're really good. Heavensharvest.com. Use promo code Crosstalk. Somebody's got to pay Derek's bills. He's just...
Derek
he's
is
demanding more. He's unionizing on us, and we could certainly use your support. So please check out the links in the description below to support our sponsors so we can continue upgrading our show, bringing you great content. I see the comments. A lot of you are noticing that we're drastically improving, and that's because of you. A big part of it.
Oh, our family watches and supports us every single week. We're in this fight together, and we'll all be in this fight together next Wednesday, October 4th. At about 2:20 p.m. Eastern, there's going to be a nationwide cellular test. Now, the emergency broadcast system, it's an old system. They're going to be doing it on radio and TV, of course, this Wednesday. But something new. This could be the second.
Forgive me while I speed this up just a little bit because, we don't need to hear stuff we already know is come and gone.
Some people, Lauren, they are going to be shutting off their phones preemptively and putting them in Faraday.
Wasn't enough.
I was reading the world is asked, what are we going to do about it?
Yeah. 90s, they called you a joke. They told you were a clown. He was just early. A lot of people there's a lot to learn from him. So,
well, especially about how they've controlled society.
Yes.
I think that in regard to 5G and frequencies, we became, aware of this topic because of the pandemic. David was talking about this long before it was an acceptable topic. So we have this and much more to talk with David Icke with. I think it's a good time to bring him into the program. Well, it's my distinct honor to invite onto Crosstalk News right now, David Icke. Welcome to the program, sir.
Legend. We are so happy to have you. I am going to fangirl you this entire interview because I have been a huge fangirl. It's so cool.
When we all started our political awakening, and spiritual awakening at that, everyone read your book. You were the first person to question the elite and what you said, especially about the global pedophiles and feeding off the fear of children. It's all true. It's all been proven true. With the Epstein scandal, adrenochrome, these other things. It's almost as if now the world is asked, what are we going to do about
it? Yeah.
I was just going to say, I'm speaking to you from the Iconic Studio in Derby, England, which my son runs that platform. We've got a show here called Classified, and we had Juliette Bryant on last week, who is someone who's known as someone who was abused by Epstein. And she was saying in the interview that the thing that shocked her more than anything else was seeing Epstein shift into a, quote, dragon stroke reptilian type form. And, you know, what I'm finding interesting now is as this dystopia unfolds, people are starting to see more and more that it's an anti-human agenda. What are they trying to do? They're trying to control all the basic means of survival of humans. They want to control the food, they want to control the water, they want to control the energy. They're messing around with the air and the atmosphere. And so more and more people are just coming to the conclusion that maybe it's not so crazy to think that an anti-human agenda could actually be driven by a non-human force. There's a big change taking place, not in the massive, vast numbers of people, but more than ever before. People are opening their minds to this, and this whole satanic connection, which, you know, if you talk for long enough, everything connects, all of it. The satanic, the pedophilia, the non-human, the 15-minute cities, all of it connects, and it's a massive tapestry of control. And I've just got a book.
Stop it just a second here to say hello to all the wonderful people that have entered. Marianne and Lisa, all you great folks from Hawks Chat. I definitely appreciate y'all. Thanks for coming over.
Book out called The Dream, in which I go seriously deeper in the rabbit hole and take this whole thing, not just in this reality, but I take it out of this reality, from where this reality is actually being controlled from.
Well, in respect to what you said about Jeffrey Epstein, I mean, of course, we feel like we're warriors in this fight against, you know, this evil, entity, these evil forces in the world. See you,
brother.
Jeffrey Epstein specifically. I spoke to Maria Farmer, who's another one of the victims, and she described Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell as like subhuman. She suspected that they were cannibals, and then also that they fed off the fear and pain of the victims.
Yeah, you had said that it became obvious when Ghislaine, she was like a big college graduate, very smart woman, but her brain started deteriorating. Now, that is a result of eating people. And they had a special chef who ended up dying mysteriously later on. And I know there's a lot of theories that came out of that. However, if somebody is so wicked and able to traffic children, to seduce and traffic and sell children and young girls, there's no limit to how far that evil will go. Like, there's no goalpost, because it's not like, oh, I'm only going to go this far. No, they will go all the way. And, you know, it is deeply rooted evil. And the thing that people need to remember is that Epstein serviced big global leaders. It wasn't just, small time or no name businessmen. He was servicing global politicians, leaders of countries. And when he died, I think, or when he was arrested, there was a lot of mass panic because a lot of people were going to get caught. And the fact that they have not released essentially his entire black book and all of his clients goes to show me that there's a big cover up and more people were involved than we ever knew.
Oh, and David, you know probably a lifetime of information. Lauren and I, we know a little bit. We've been reading, we've been paying attention for at least a decade now. You've been paying attention for before I was born. And one of the toughest things for us, especially as people are looking at what's happening in the world, the satanic elite trying to rework society and literally feed off of the regular people, the normal people in the world, staying encouraged, like staying, kind of in the fight. For you, I know that you're very big in family. I listened to one of your speeches back in 2012, and you mentioned your son, you mentioned your family. How have you stayed encouraged and emboldened, despite potential setbacks, despite the evil literally coming out and being in our face now in 2023?
Well, there's a few things that come out of all that. First of all, Ghislaine Maxwell's father, who I actually met once, he was the chairman of a football club, and I was doing a documentary on that football club for the BBC, and I met him once at the Daily Mirror, which he owned at one point, Robert Maxwell. And he was one of the most unpleasant pieces of work I've ever met. The way he talked to his staff was extraordinary, in front of us. And he was a Mossad agent. And so she's the daughter of a Mossad agent. So that's not an accident. When organizations like Mossad and the CIA, if you go deep enough, they're the same organization. Maybe we could get into this. So once you realize, actually, you go deep enough into any of these organizations, you're actually hitting the web where they're all the same organization with the same agenda. Everything starts to fall into place. But I've kept going because the concept of not keeping going is impossible for me to contemplate. You know, I've been doing this for a very long time. I'm in my 34th year now. And I've seen people come and I've seen them go, and I've seen them come and I've seen them go. They've been flavor of the month for 5 minutes and gone and all that stuff. And I look at them and I think, where have you bloody gone? When you realize what is happening, the scale of where it's coming from and where it's meant to go, you simply can't walk away. You have to, you can't look little kids in the eyes. You can't look your own children and grandchildren in the eye and then walk away. You have to do everything you can to head this off to its ultimate conclusion. And I must say, people will look around the world. I do understand it. And they'll say, more people need to wake up. Yes, they bloody do. But I remember 1990, 91, 92, 93, on through the 90s, across the millennium, when it was very difficult to get anyone interested in this. But over the last few years, particularly since the COVID card was played, and it became much more difficult for people to have that getaway car of the mind and think, oh, no, there's nothing really going on. It's just a conspiracy theory. It's coming more and more in people's faces, and they're finding it more and more difficult to actually look the other way. Lots of people still are. Lots of people no longer are. Right. So I am encouraged from my own perspective of seeing what it was like 30 years ago to what it's like now. I've gone from walking down the street and being ridiculed mercilessly by people constantly, all the time. If ever people walked past me, if ever I turned around, I knew what I would see with people laughing and making faces. And it was just my life for year after year after year after year. Now, I've been up here in Derby at Iconic for 2 or 3 days. I'm walking around the streets. People are constantly stopping me and asking me about what's going on and encouragement. Keep going, don't stop. And it's like you pinch yourself. Ouch! It's actually real. The transformation that's gone on, and that transformation in the perception of me is just an expression of the transformation among vast numbers of people, of what they would once have waved away. Oh, come on. Now they're starting to see it's real. So, there's lots of bad things going on. There really are. But there's a lot of good things starting to happen as well.
It's true. There has been a great awakening. I remember hearing about the New World Order years ago and thinking, wow, that is so far away. Is there really a plan for global dominance by a particular group of people? And it seemed like it was such a foreign concept. But then COVID happened. Then the elections happened. And now a lot of people are awake now because during COVID, everything changed. In a matter of a year, they were able to start tracking us, to make us use QR codes to enter businesses, to travel, force vaccinate people. And that happened within a year of the pandemic. It's proven that COVID has been around for a long time. This was an orchestrated plan, but they are able to move, and they are able to move quickly. And so many people, it took them a while to catch up, but they are starting to awaken now at how far they will go, what they are capable of, and how much power they actually have. And now there is, even though it is tragic what is happening, there is a mass awakening of people that are starting to realize, hey, this new world order, this global dominance agenda, this Agenda 2030, this is not that far away. This could actually happen because look at what they did to us in a matter of a year and a half during COVID.
Well, absolutely. And David, what you speak to this, I remember that time. I remember after reading your first book, and it was back actually 2012 is when I first found your content. And I started mentioning some of the things that you'd spoken about and you'd given in speeches about. Yeah, people were like, that's crazy. That's absolutely bonkers. And I was like, no, man, I think it's real. I think there's a satanic elite. I think David knows what he's talking about. Lauren and I are living representations of that seed you planted. That's not, and you don't need us to encourage you, but I'll tell you, so we will cheer you and we will encourage you to know that everything we do now, in part, was from you taking that leap of faith, that stand for humanity. Now, in respect to these shapeshifters, you mentioned that you spoke to an Epstein victim. So I do want to talk about this real quick. A victim said they actually witnessed Jeffrey Epstein shapeshift.
Yeah,
they're like dirty and elitist and satanic, but I've never heard that. That's interesting.
Yeah, well, I've been, of course, writing about the shape-shifting nature of these people. I mean, so what happened? First of all, Julia Bryant did a long interview for Iconic with Richard Willett, and without his prompting, came out with that. And you see, there's two worlds. There's the world of what I call the global cult, and that world, which is fiercely compartmentalized, so most of the people even in that world don't know the real picture, the big picture. But what's hoarded in the secret society network at the inner core is, yes, of course, it's the agenda for humanity, which they don't want us to know, although, the closer they get to imposing it, their end goal, the more obvious it is what's happening, the more difficult it is for them to keep that quiet. And more people are starting to see it now because it's becoming more blatant as they impose the society they've been working towards for so long. I said a long time ago, this has got to get really bad before we can turn this around, because only then, when it's here, will people in enough numbers realize that inaction is not an option. So you have this situation where during COVID, they basically entered the room so we could see them. They were under the radar before, which is why people were dismissing all this stuff. But now it's increasingly in our face, and the whole basis of the information that's passed on through the secret society network and kept from the population, that's why they're secret societies, is the nature of the agenda until now, but the key one, bigger even than that, is to keep from humanity the nature of reality itself, the nature of the very reality we're experiencing, and the nature of the I that's experiencing it. So we're told the most extraordinary tapestry of lies about the very world we're living in. So, and because of the nature of this world and how it works, it's specifically created, I'll go into this in detail in the dream, to be a perceptual prison, to give us the impression that we're living in a world of a certain kind when it's nothing like that. And this is fundamental to shapeshifting, because if you believe that the world is solid,
how many of us when this guy first started out, I mean, he was very young, what, about 30 years old, something like that. It was what they called a reader on the sports over in England. How many of us back then thought he was a total nut? I'll raise my hand. I thought he was there for a long time. Now I think he was dead on in many things.
then the idea of someone apparently human shifting into another form in front of someone's eyes is just, it's impossible. You're mad, you are. I had all that stuff. But hold on a minute. The world's not solid. That's the point. And the other thing is that, and this should be taught to children at the earliest age that they could grasp it, is that people think that when they look through their eyes, they're looking at everything in the space before them. They're not. They're looking, they're seeing, they're able to perceive visually a tiny, tiny, ludicrously narrow band of visual reality. It's called visible light. And according to mainstream science, the electromagnetic spectrum, which is basically this reality, is 0.005% of what exists in the universe. Some say it's as high as 0.5%, whatever, it's tiny. And visible light, which is the only band of frequency we can see, everything we're looking at now and everyone watching this show is looking at now is within that band of frequency, is a smear, a tiny fraction of the 0.005%. So humans are basically blind. The vast, overwhelming majority of infinite reality is unseen by the human visual decoding system. So immediately that makes you a little bit humble. You start to realize, well, not only don't I know it all, have you seen how much more there is to know that I can't know in the reality that I'm experiencing? So, and then you look at solidity. If you look at atoms, which are supposed to be the building blocks of the solid physical world, they're empty. As one quote said, if the nucleus at the center of an atom was the size of a 10-cent piece, then the atom itself would be the size of a baseball stadium by comparison. They're empty. So what we're looking at is a world which is not as we're experiencing it, it's as we are decoding it. And what is the what is really obvious to me as I look at the world is as this explosion of technology comes in and artificial intelligence to take over the world, that's what it's doing. What it is, it's a technological mimicking of the very reality that we're experiencing and how we experience it. So, for instance, if you said to someone that who knew nothing about computers, nothing, and you said that in this room is a field of radiation that contains an entire global reality, and you can tap into it in Australia, in South Africa, in America, in Britain, anywhere. They didn't know about computers. They would say, "You're mad, mate. Where is it? I can't see it." But if you said the same thing to someone now who does know about computers and Wi-Fi, then instead of going, "You're mad, mate," they'd go, "Oh yeah, Wi-Fi, computers, I know about that. Yeah. And the only difference between "you're mad" and "oh yeah, I know about that, yeah," is knowledge. If you don't know about computers, oh, that's madness. If you do, well, yeah, everybody knows that, mate. This is the power of suppressing knowledge, and particularly knowledge about the nature of reality. And so then you say to people, okay, tell me about the internet. And they'd say, oh yeah, it's videos and it's text and it's graphics and stuff on the screen. Yeah, but only on the screen. Everywhere else, it's Wi-Fi fields and electronic codes. The only place the internet exists as it's described and perceived is on the screen. And the next question is, where is the information that you're looking at on the screen? Is it over there? Is it over there, up there? No, It's inside the computer. That's where that reality exists in the form that we see it. Now, if we just break off from that technological side of things, and let's look at how we create reality. And this is mainstream science. I mean, how they not put this together? I mean, pinch me. What the five senses do, and the five senses are that which lock us into this fake reality that I call the simulation, or the matrix, some people call it. The five senses, what they're doing is they're taking waveform information. I mean, the ears are a classic. They're picking up sound waves. But all those senses are picking up vibrational frequency information. And they turn it into electrical information, which is then communicated to the brain. And different parts of the brain are specialized in decoding information from the different senses. And then the brain forms it together in a sense of reality. And the way we experience, and it's a digital holographic reality, not a solid one, it's holographic, illusory, solid. And so we experience this world as outside of us, but it's in here, just like the internet's in the computer. And so all this background, and you can see what I mean when I say if you can suppress the nature of reality, you bewilder and bamboozle people and get them to dismiss things that are actually happening as impossible because they think they are. Let's just break that down to shape-shifting. What the body is a information field, like Wi-Fi. And we are decoding that wave field information into a holographic reality. And these particular bloodlines that are part human, part non-human, they're hybrids. They have a human field and they have a non-human field, which is the real self. But they have this dual field, not physical body, field. And so the vast majority of the time, obviously, the human field is projected into the world. The other ones in the background. So when I'm looking at someone, one of these hybrids, my decoding system I've just described is going to show me a human. It's going to show me a solid human in my perspective. And then with this shape-shifting, and of course this is an ancient thing. I mean, we talk about shape-shifting going back into the ancient world. And for, people maybe watching this are going, oh, what's he on? I've not sat in a room smoking something, pulling this stuff out of the ether. I have met enormous numbers of people all over the world. I've been doing this for 34 years. I've been in about 60 odd countries who have described to me having this very experience. People are completely unconnected to each other in different countries, different cultures. So what is happening? They're looking at the human part of the dual field, and they're seeing a human. But then there's a shift, not a physical shift. There is an energetic shift so that the other part of the field, the non-human part, becomes the dominant one. Now, to the observer, they've been looking at a human, and suddenly they're seeing them change shape into a non-human, as if there's been a physical shift, but there is no physical. It's been an energetic information shift and a decoded by the observer shift, and thus one seems to have gone from one physical body to another physical body. It's not what's happened. And the other thing too, about very simple things start to become clear once you start to grasp the nature of reality. For instance, it's entered visible light. I can see it, the observer can see it, and to the observer, it's come out of nowhere.
David, you were just giving an example. If you wouldn't mind going back to that, you exited the Wi-Fi physical zone.
Yeah. We
You
dropped
disconnected
it.
for just a moment.
Yeah.
But you were still here with us.
So
Yeah.
go
The-
over that
the point-
example.
The point is that when it leaves visible light to the observer, it seems to disappear. And so all these things where they say, "Oh, that's impossible, mate." No. Don't confuse what's possible with your perception of possibility. And that's the big mistake that people make. And it's the mistake they are manipulated to make by the suppression of knowledge about the nature of reality.
So I had heard this. It was a radio show. There was a man. I remember this story a while ago. It was a man who was fleeing Area 51. He was a scientist there. He was working there, and he had called into this radio show, and he was like obviously distressed. He sounded very, very sincere and horrified. But he had said, there's a lot of talks about aliens. They talk about all this time, all the time in Mexico. It just came out that there was aliens found, but this man fleeing Area 51 had said it's not aliens. They are working with interdimensional beings. It is not just what we see in reality. They are entering another dimension. The governments of the world are figuring out a way to cross over into that dimension. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I've been writing about that for so long, and in the dream, I go deeper in the rabbit hole with it than ever before.
Okay.
I mean, that's exactly what's happening. As we build on what I said about visible light, and we can't see the rest of infinite reality, only that tiny band of frequency, we can see almost nothing. But creation, or at least the part of it that we are experiencing, is broken up into frequencies like radio and television stations. Call them dimensions, if you like. That's a simple way of putting it, but it will do. It will do for this, for what I'm talking about. So these dimensions are not on top of each other like chest of drawers. They're sharing the same space like the old analog radio and television stations. You've got the zapper in your hand, and you press the zapper and you get a channel. You then press another zapper and you get another channel. What's happened on the screen? There's been a shapeshift. You've gone from one frequency wavelength to another. Now, when you're on a radio station and then you go to another radio station, now the second radio station is your reality. It's what you hear. But the first radio station you've just left hasn't ceased to exist. It still exists. It's just you're not tuned to it anymore. And what this body does, I've been calling it since the 1990s, the biological computer. It is decoding a reality in a certain frequency band. And so that's the reality we appear to be experiencing. And so when people leave the body at what they call near-death experiences, they describe a completely different reality that doesn't conform to our so-called laws of physics. I can get into what they really are as well, if you like. Because they've left the decoding system. When the body ceases to function, it ceases to decode this reality. And therefore we experience a consciousness is no longer subject to that reality input, and therefore starts to experience reality outside the body, which is a different kind of reality. So when I was going down the levels of the rabbit hole, if you like, in the early 90s, I started realizing that the world was not controlled by people that appeared to be controlling it, presidents, prime ministers, etc. But actually there was this global cult of secret societies that were pulling the strings. And then I started looking at, well, obviously it didn't start 5 years ago or 50 years ago. To get to its current state, it had to go back a very long time. So you go back and you start to go back to ancient Babylon and Egypt and other different parts of the world, but particularly that area seems to be very, very significant. And then you say, okay, well, it goes back that far, and it came up through the Roman Empire, and colonization of the world from Europe made it go global, and globalization even more, and so on and so forth. But then you think, well, there's been people then being born, playing a part in advancing this cult to more and more power till it's now global. And then they die, and then other people come in, and they do the same, and then they die, and other people come in, and they do the same. And I thought, well, there has to be a coordinating force through all this. There has to be something that spans that whole period that is actually orchestrating it. And when you go down that road, that's when, as you mentioned, you go out of this reality, which is not saying much, because this reality is so very narrow anyway. And you go into a realm. If you call this the third dimension, then we'll call that the fourth dimension. Some people call it the astral dimension. It's what it's widely known as in the esoteric circles. And what it is the upper levels of this astral dimension, in frequency terms, are a long way comparatively from this wavelength, human world. But the lower levels of the astral realm, the lower frequency levels, they basically bleed into this one. You could imagine, like,
and I ain't. What I was saying was, or trying to say was, before I realized I was muted, was that it sounds to me like he's trying to explain, in his terms, and a lot of people don't believe in God, so maybe he does, maybe he don't, but it sounds to me like he's trying to explain, what happens after we die. And I guess to him, once we die, well, then everything ceases to exist. I don't believe that. I believe that when we die, we continue to exist. We're just not in this body. But he does make some good points. I think he does, particularly a little later on in the show.
You put on a radio station, and that's your major station. But there's an interference from another station. Why? Because the frequency is not the same as the main station, which is why your main station is dominating your ears, but it's close enough that you can hear it interfering. And that's basically this point where the astral meets the human world of the five senses.
Right.
And
So
that's where these demonic gods are, at that lower level of the astral. That's who the ancients were sacrificing people to openly when it was acceptable to do that. They were making offerings to the gods, often young virgins, which is just code for children. And when I started investigating this, and I'm going deeper and deeper in the rabbit hole with this cult and the cultists and the people involved, invariably it led me to Satanism and pedophilia, which are fundamentally connected for reasons I can explain as well. And so my next question is, okay, what? So they've been sacrificing to the gods back in the ancient world, and these rich and famous people you see on the news and stuff, they're doing it now. So what's going on? Well, it was obvious what's going on. They're worshiping the same gods today as they were before, because those gods are these astral entities, these demonic astral entities that are operating in the lower level of the astral dimension. So when anthropologists and historians go along and they start kind of what they think is researching ancient cultures and beliefs, they'll go, okay, so they worship them gods, and then worship them gods, and they worship them gods. And yeah, no, mate, deep breath. Forget the bloody names. You've got different cultures, so you're going to have different names, mate. Look at how they're describing them. Look at what they're saying about them, and you'll see they're the same gods. So you have the pantheon of Greek gods and the pantheon of these gods. You have the New Age kind of pantheon called the Great White Brotherhood and all this stuff. These are these entities. Now, they're doing sacrifice rituals and satanic rituals to these gods, as the ancients were. They're doing offerings to the gods. So then my question was, well, what do the bloody gods get out of it then? What are they offering? And then you start to realize, the more you get deeper and deeper into the understanding of reality, you start to realize what it's all about and why these cultists are doing these rituals. This is mainstream science again.
Right.
Every time we think and every time we feel emotion, we are producing a frequency. We're basically broadcasting a frequency.
Right.
And the frequency is dictated by the nature of the thought and the nature of the emotion. So things like fear, which is what the calling card of the control system, fear, anxiety, depression, resentment, regret, all these things. Hate.
To me, he's explaining to a T exactly what it is when we put our faith and everything in Christ, and the difference when we don't and let Satan have our hearts through fear or whatever, through sex, whatever it might be. That's what he's describing, the frequencies. That's what our aura is that surrounds our body. That is what our third eye was before they messed it all up.
They're low, slow frequencies. Joy, love, they're high frequencies. And so when you are these demonic gods, and something you mentioned earlier, one of the most difficult things to get across to people over these last 34 years is just the scale of bloody evil we're dealing with. I mean, it's just extraordinary. I hear, oh, they would never do that. Oh, they would, and they'd love it, mate.
Yep.
So if you're in that demonic state of being, then in terms of frequency, it's a low, slow frequency. So you can only absorb energy as your sustenance, as your nutrient, as your power that's in that frequency band. Otherwise, you're like radio stations on different wavelengths, never the twain shall meet. And so what this fake reality I call the simulation has been created to do is manipulate human perception, first of all, about the very reality they're living in, but then events in the world, suffering, war, all this stuff. It's being done to generate a perceptual response from the population that generates low vibrational frequencies. And in the astral, see, you feel emotion, you have thoughts, you generate frequencies. Okay, where are they? When people are in an emotional state, you can see the body language. Yeah, okay, I'll get you. You're frightened. And you can, if you're sensitive, you can feel the vibes coming off people. But you can't see the frequencies coming off them as a result of the emotional and mental state. So where is it? It's in the astral. It's going into that astral dimension. That's why we can't see it. And these gods are absorbing it. It's their sustenance. So when Morpheus in the first Matrix movie held up a battery and said, this is a computer-generated dream world designed to turn humans into one of these, a battery, it was a profound truth, actually, that was being spoken. So then you come to the actual rituals that the ancients did and these cultists do now. It's a form of the same thing. What they do, and there's a reason they're still doing Babylonian and Egyptian rituals today, is because of the effect they have. That's why they do it. They build up the terror, the absolute terror in the victim. And as that terror increases and increases, more and more powerful, low vibrational frequencies, terror, an extreme of fear, are going out into the astral. And these, quote, gods are absorbing it. That's the offering to the gods, sacrifice to the gods. That's the dynamic. And at the same time, this terror is at the chemical level of the body, the decoded level of the body, if you like, is causing an adrenaline to enter the blood, which these people, sick as they are, to them, it is a drug. It gives them a high. And so what you've got in these satanic rituals, these major ones that involve all these famous people, is the sacrifice to the gods, which is the terror frequency going into the astral, and the adrenaline going into the blood, which these people in this reality, in the satanic ritual, then drink and get the high from. And, you know, I have spoken to people all over the world who've taken part in satanic rituals, overwhelmingly against their will, others that have seen the bloody light, that have described the same recurring rituals. And also, by the way, how some of the major rituals, they are designed to thin out the dimensional difference between our reality and this lower astral reality. And it's almost like a conduit they create so that these entities can slip through into our reality. I've had that described to me many times, of these often hideous looking entities manifesting in the rituals. They can't stay here for long, different frequency, but they can manifest. And so this is what's really going on. And so you have this stuff with the Clintons, and I've been writing about the Clintons since 1994. There was a body count then, never mind what it is now. And all these kind of expressions where it's kind of bubbles to the surface, like you've got Epstein. Epstein would have been into satanic ritual. Absolutely would. And then we've had this guy in Britain, of course, Jimmy Savile. I was given chapter and verse by him, by a close friend of Princess Diana, close friend for 9 years anyway, in the late 1990s. Unfortunately, she wouldn't go public. I went public with it in my book, Biggest Secret. But she didn't want to go public with it. So there's a limit to what you could do. But she described to me how this Jimmy Savile, who, first of all, he was just a disc jockey. He played records on the radio for the BBC, and then Top of the Pops, a television pop show. And yet he became immensely bloody rich. Houses everywhere, big cars, what? And in his own words, he was invited into the inner circle of the British royal family by a guy called Lord Mountbatten, who was a known paedophile. And he was in the inner core of the British royal family, close friend of Prince Philip, till they had a big Barney falling out, apparently, and close friend of Prince Charles, present now King Charles, right up to his death. I think Savile died in 2011, something like that. And so why was he a close friend, Savile, of Margaret Thatcher? Why was he a close friend of the Thatcher cabinet of the time in the 1990s? Well, why or the 1980s? Why was he a close friend of Ted Heath, the British Prime Minister, a massive paedophile? Got a story to tell about him if you like. Personally, he was the one that took us into the European Union, and he was very much a gopher for the cold.
Is Mr. Heath the one that shapeshifted next to you at Sky?
Yeah, I'll tell you about that in a sec. Why was this Savile so close to all these people? Because this is what was missed when he was exposed as a historic level of paedophile, but also what also came out that not given so much prominence, but what also came out is that he's a Satanist. He took part in satanic ritual. Of course he bloody did. The thing that didn't come out is that the reason he got so rich and the reason they watched his back, so he was, even though the police knew what he was doing, they did nothing about it, was because he was a procurer of children for the rich and famous, including the royal family. And in the Ted Heath story, I mean, this happened to me before my colossal mind-blowing awakening in 1990. This was in the 1980s, probably about a year before, funnily enough, it all happened. And I was a national spokesman for the British Green Party. I know I'm not proud of it. I do apologize. But in those days, the Green Party hadn't been completely taken over by this madness of human-caused global warming. and the hopes surrounding that to justify dystopia. And it gave me phenomenal insight into politics, having been in it only for about a year and a half, 18 months, to see that there was no way politics was going to be the answer to anything. It was the problem. It was a diversion from the real solution, which is we stop cooperating with our own enslavement en masse, and the house of cards comes down. Anyway, in 1989, yeah, it would have been 1989, just the year before my awakening. The Green Party suddenly had this. I'd only been a national spokesman for it for about, I don't know, 9 months or so. It had this bloody massive election vote in the European elections. Got about 2 million votes. Well, you got a man and a dog before. And so because of this, I was invited to the Sky television studio, news studio, to comment on the results coming in with some of the other party representatives. So I turn up and I get taken into the makeup room by this lady, and the door was open, so I walked in, and she said, someone come and see you in a minute. Okay, thank you very much. And I thought I was in an empty room. There's no one else around. So I sat down, and you're looking at them mirrors, and the lights, that stuff you get in those places. And something caught me to my right, and I turned, and it's Ted Heath, Prime Minister, for the time they took us into the European Union. Still a member of Parliament at the time, and he's sitting behind the door. That's why I couldn't see him. So I look at him, and I'm, being friendly. Hello, all right, mate. And he never said a word, not a word in this entire sequence. He looked at me, and then he turned to look at me and stare at me. And I'm looking at him thinking, what the hell? And he started to get this inquisitive look on his face. That's all I could describe it. It was like that kind of thing. And then he starts scanning me. I can only describe it as scanning me. His eyes started at the top of my head and went down to my feet and then went back again. And not saying a word through any of this. And while he was doing that, his eyes went completely black. I mean, the whites as well. They were literally black eyes, the entirety of the eyes. And when I was looking at him, it was like looking through, if I'm looking at someone and someone's looking at me, we make eye contact. There's a point where your eyes make contact. When I was looking at him as his eyes went black, it was like looking through him into some other reality. I now know exactly what I was doing, because he was a shapeshifter. I've met people since that have experienced that with him, so I had no idea at the time what I'd just seen. I came back to my family. I said, "You'll never guess what I've just experienced. I just had this Ted bloody Heath." And then a year later, and the sequence started, which led me to understanding what the hell happened that night. And there's loads and loads of stories around the world of people who they call black-eyed people. They just literally their eyes turn black, it's a world that can be explained, but not according to the explanation of reality that we're given. And that's why we're given that explanation, because then we'll never grasp what's really going on.
Yeah, I certainly think that there is, as a Christian, people need to recognize, like in Genesis, God spoke the frequencies. That is how he created creation, was through his voice.
The power of life and death is in the tongue.
Exactly. The power of life and death is in the tongue. So there's certainly, and God is the creator of everything on this earth and in the heavens. And, I certainly do agree that there is something to these frequencies. Now, I wanted to ask you a question in regard to Zelensky hiring Marina Abramovich. So she was well known with the Podestas, the Clintons, as a spirit cooker. She would hold seances. According to the Podesta emails, they would have spirit cooking dinners. Hillary Clinton had talked about sacrificing a chicken to Moloch. Well, Moloch had been one of those demon gods that we have talked about. You would talk about these different gods, different cultures, but he's always the same. It's the same
That's
sacrifice.
what they do at Bohemian Grove, of course. It's an expression of their worship to these astral demonic gods.
Now, what are your thoughts on Zelensky bringing on Marina Abramovich to oversee the schools as the ambassador in Ukraine, all the children in Ukraine? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, what they're doing is moving towards creating a world in which their world becomes our world. That's why, for instance, they are trying to normalize pedophilia with descriptions like minor attracted person.
Yeah.
And I said earlier that pedophilia and Satanism are connected, and they are, because, and this has been explained to me many, many times by people who would know. Pedophiles are basically possessed. We have an energetic field, an electromagnetic field, and entities, if that field falls into a frequency that matches that of the demonic entities, then they can attach to the field, and they can start influencing. Behavior and perception. And what the deal with the pedophile is, when they're abusing the child, the pedophile is the conduit between the child's energetic field and the demonic energetic field. And the energy of the child is being drawn out to be absorbed by the entity. And so when I've traveled around the world, whether it's downtown Washington, or whether it's somewhere in South Africa or elsewhere around the world, the same story goes on. And that is of the number of children that go missing every year, never to be seen again. Years ago, back in the 1990s, I met a lady in America when I was going around talking, but I wasn't talking to anybody. No one wanted to know, really. But I met so many people that gave me so much information. And this lady was married to someone who was then murdered. And they were in the process of fostering two small children, with a view to adopting them. And what happened is, this lady turns up one day and said, I read about you in the paper. I want to help you. Can I be a nanny to your children to help you in this, over this period? So she accepted, and she became the nanny. Long story short, social services then gave the children to the nanny and took them away from the lady. And they did it on the grounds that the lady was no longer married, and she would have been a one-parent family, so that wasn't good enough to be to adopt them. Except that the nanny was a one-parent family, right? And this all happened in the area of Colorado with Jean-Benet Ramsey, that just down not far from there, actually, in Boulder. And so I try to help this lady, and one of the things I did was to ring the federal government agency and ask how many children went missing every year. They couldn't tell me. They could probably tell me how many cars went missing, but not children. And what they said to me is, you've got to ring every state capital government and get the numbers from each state. Well, I think I got to about 12. And the number by then was absolutely staggering. What happens is, people equate the number of children that go missing every year with missing children stories on the news. There's nothing like the same thing. And then I met Credo Mutwa, the Zulu shaman in South Africa. And he was telling me that they had groups of of men in his village who were specifically designated to watch the children because they were being targeted for disappearing. And he was telling me how the scale of what was going on in that regard in Africa, not just South Africa. And so you have this common theme of children. And, you know, there comes a point which we call puberty. Now, we see that as a chemical change, a hormonal change in the body. And on the decoded level of the body, yes, it is. But what triggers that hormonal change is a frequency change. It's a change in the field. It's a change in the information field as part of the program we call human life. And therefore, what these entities want is the child's energy before that change takes place. To them, it's like nectar. And so pedophilia is, again, these demonic entities in this lower astral realm stealing, feeding off the energy of children, and the pedophile and the pedophile rings are conduits to allow that that hijacking of child's energy to take place. And so, because the same people who are worshiping these demonic gods through Satanism are the same people that are into pedophilia to, again, serve the gods in that way. That's why you have invariably these people that take part in satanic ritual also taking part in pedophilia. And so if you look at Zelensky, well, what is Zelensky? He's just a little gopher puppet. That's all he is. He's got no power. He's not running Ukraine. People running Ukraine are running him.
Right.
And this war has been generated because of all the offshoot advantages it gives to this cult that wants to dismantle society as we know it. And therefore, you're moving step by step from the world that we have known. And I knew even more. I was born in 1952. I could see how this world's bloody changed since I was a kid. Unbelievable. They're moving it step by step towards their world. So their world that happens within the cult becomes the norm in the world in general.
Hello, Miss Virginia Roots, and welcome. Good to see you. Good to see all the fine folks that's come in from Hawks and everywhere. Thank you all.
This is a part of the so-called Great Reset that is not talked about nearly enough. This whole transformation of the cult reality to become human reality.
Now, does that mean the fourth industrial revolution and a lot of the technology that's come through these advances, that it's been produced through a relationship, a communing like these devils? Like we talked about artificial intelligence, we talked about the intelligence agencies. It's the technology that's really acted now as a conduit, right? You don't even need maybe an individual now.
That's a really, really good point. That really is, and I write about this at length in the Dream. You know, when I saw this this matrix, this fake reality, and I'll just put that into context of what I'm saying is happening. Beyond this matrix, beyond this simulation, this virtual reality that we are experiencing, to what? To hijack our perception, so it hijacks our behavior, is infinity. It's that infinite consciousness that some people call God, others call other names. It's the true self, the true I, the true creative force. And imagine that you've created a like a Wi-Fi field, the simplest way of putting it. And you've laid that on part of this infinite reality. And then you have created what I call a biological computer to interact with that reality. So anyone that enters a human body is interacting with the fake reality through the five senses. That's why they want us to stay in the five senses and not go beyond them. And therefore, we are in this computer-generated dream world used to turn humans into one of these. That's what it's all about. So I started to look at this, and I thought, well, this whole matrix, which includes the astral, by the way, that's another level of the matrix. That's another thing that people lose sight of, is that it's not just the human realm. It's what some people call it the spirit world, the astral. It's part of the matrix. It keeps you in the loop. So I thought, well, this whole deal is not going to be run by people pressing buttons. There has to be a system that's running this matrix, and it's artificial intelligence. But it's not artificial intelligence that we know about. Even the level of advancement it's reached in the human world now, and there's a reason why it's coming in, which I'll get to. It's light years beyond that, and it's running this whole deal. And what they're doing is bringing that astral AI into our reality, step by step by step by step. And to our experience, it seems as if technology is advancing very quickly. And if you note that there's never a point, especially today, where people are sitting around a table strumming their fingers saying, well, we can't go to the next level of control until some geek in a garage in Silicon Valley invents the technology to do it. That never happens. It's coming in so fast, and quicker and quicker and quicker. Why? Because it already exists. It's just coming into our reality. And the idea is to connect humans, the human body brain, to artificial intelligence. This is what they're talking about. People like Ray Kurzweil, and you've got Musk with his Neuralink and all that stuff. Although that's just a front, really. The real stuff is in the underground bases. The secret projects is coming in through the astral, or from the astral. And so the idea is you connect artificial intelligence to the human brain. And instead of having to manipulate perception to become behavior, you tell people what their perceptions are. It's coming direct from AI. That's why. And then the question is, people they must never stop asking questions, because if you ask one question and you find an answer to it, there's always another question. So the next question is, what's AI then? What is it? And there's algorithmic AI, okay. There's what they call learning AI, where they feed that AI all the information and data from the internet and social media, and it learns more and more about human. But what's the ultimate AI that's behind all this? It's these demonic entities. And AI connected to the human brain is connecting this demonic realm to the human brain. That's what it's really about. And what they've done, Kurzweil's a great example at Google, is they've gone from hiding it to sales pitching it, because they can't hide it anymore. You know, I said a long time ago, there's going to come a point where it's got to become obvious, because you can go under the radar for a while, but if you're going to transform human society, you have to transform it. And as you do it, people are going to see the world's changing, what's going on. So you can't hide it. So what are you going to do? You're going to sales pitch it. So you sales pitch it on the line of, well, if we don't have this dystopia, we're all going to die from bloody climate change. blah, blah, blah. You do it with COVID or whatever other thing you could make up. And you do it by what Kurzweil and others are saying. Oh, yeah, you connect to the brain to artificial intelligence, we'll become superhuman. No, we won't become subhuman, and you bloody know it. And this metaverse and all these cyberspace technologies that are coming in, their role is to pull people more and more and more perceptually into the realms of cyberspace and AI, and further away from an understanding of the true self, which is we are a point of attention within a vast infinity of consciousness. They don't want us to know that. They certainly don't want us to connect to those levels of awareness, consciousness, quote, God, beyond the simulation. Because once you do, you can see it. What do we call, what is awakening? All people are awakening. What does that mean? Well, what it means ultimately is that you are tapping in to levels of awareness, levels of consciousness that are beyond the fake reality. And thus, you see it's a fake reality. You are in the world in terms of your focus of attention, because the body is decoding the world constantly. It's like having a headset on all your life. But you're not of the world in terms of your perceptions, because you're tapping into something greater than just this nonsense prison cell reality that's been created to ensnare us.
When you're a Christian, you're in the world, not of it. There's a big difference, and I think that's what he's saying there.
But if you come into the world and you are in the world and also of the world in terms of your perception is this is real, gotcha. And that's what asleep means, as opposed to awakening.
Mr. Ike, thank you so much. We are out of time, but we are so blessed to have had you today. Can you tell our audience where they can buy your book?
Now, don't y'all think that was a fantastic video? I mean, I know some of y'all didn't like it, and that's understandable. But hey, I thought he had some darn good points out through the whole video about many of things. The one I really liked was the pedo stuff. Where he's explaining that to the best of his ability. But it was all pretty good, because when he's talking about frequencies, that's literally, what we all communicate by when you get right down to it. I mean, what Christ says that he's talking about if you have a mustard seed of faith, it can move that mountain. You say that mountain, you're there, but be over there and it'll move. But of course, that was with when we had the power of our third eye, the pineal gland. But still, I mean, he made some very good points there, I think, or at least I think he did. Now, the next video I'm going to show is going to be of the one I didn't get to finish showing the other night. So, however, before I got through it, I hope it's where it picks back up at, because I didn't write down a time on it. So, let me make sure it's ready to go. There it is. Oh, crap. I don't think it did. Yeah, it did.
Democracy. It has to be deadly, because the police state is what comes out of this. But when doctors become agents of government, when they work together with government, they are no longer to be trusted. They no longer regard the Hippocratic Oath as something they have to abide by. Then it becomes really the greater good. Who decides what's the greater good? Have we ever been asked to vote on which items would be for the greater good?
Vaccine passports are coming. Someday soon, you may need to prove your COVID status to go to the pub, travel abroad, or even go to work.
We will be looking at what contact tracing looks like in the New World Order.
Are you at all concerned when tech companies can make basically unchecked decisions to take people off their platforms?
There's a new threat to our rights on the horizon. According to Gates, the only way to responsibly end these shutdowns is for a pretty vast surveillance system to be put in place. That it will be unsafe to work or to travel or go to church or a ball game unless we give up our personal data. Well, I haven't seen the scientific proof for any of that.
Now they want vaccine passports to control who can go where, when. A nightmare, Orwellian infrastructure of control, an unprecedented, undemocratic power grab.
This is literally the end.
Well, chap, it looks like you're going to have to change to somebody else because Garrett just came in. Sorry, brother. Garrett, resume your role.
Of human liberty in the West, if this plan unfolds, it's not about the vaccine, it's not about the virus, it's about your data. And once this rolls out, you don't have a choice.
You don't need vaccine passports. They provide nothing whatsoever to you or anybody else in relation to safety, but it will give away to whoever controls that database and the rules complete control over everything you do.
Hello, everyone. Meet Lucy, student in psychology. And me, her digital ID wallet issued by the government. Right now, I'm reminding Lucy of the appointment she needs to schedule for her mandatory vaccination.
You're owning this vaccine passport and it pings. And in addition to advising you need to come to the health centre for your top-up vaccine, perhaps your second one in a year, it also advises you that you need to bring your small grandchild down because your daughter hasn't brought the little lad in yet. And they say, if you don't bring that grandchild down, your vaccine passport will expire and that of your daughter as well. Now try resisting that.
If you have not been given a chance to get your booster, your full vaccination status will not lapse.
Make no mistake about it, those individuals who have gone through a normal vaccination series for COVID, you will be determined to be unvaccinated very soon. They will do that. They are going to tell you you're unvaccinated and you have to get a booster. Otherwise, you could potentially face loss of employment or other types of penalties.
Boosters, it's very clear that getting 3 jabs, getting your booster, will become an important fact, and it will make life easier for you in all sorts of ways.
Our vaccine for the Omicron variant should.
Yeah, chap, if you can find that link, brother, please do. They're going to use brown water. My. That's kind of going off the deep end, ain't it? Dang.
Be a 3-dose vaccine.
As it emerged that a booster jab may be needed every year.
There's going to be a vaccinated economy, and you get to participate in that if you are vaccinated.
There will be no return to the old normal for the foreseeable future.
Germany, along with other European countries, imposed new partial lockdown measures.
Just after 11 days of the second lockdown, a third one.
But at midnight tonight, Victoria's plunged into lockdown number 5.
Can you please explain how keeping people at home from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. is going to help the situation?
And that's just the way it is. We've got to accept that this is the new world order.
Today is the first full day of the new world order.
So people assume we are just going back to the good old world which we had. This is, let's say, fiction. It will not happen.
In the entire history of mankind, there has never been a political elite sincerely concerned about the well-being of regular people.
This is very close to a society of slaves. There is a small elite group who controls the rest. This impression is left now after this year of experiences of lockdowns and other measures. With the.
I got it, chap. I'll play it as soon as this is over. It's got about 40 more minutes left.
Ever more necessity to be vaccinated.
Therefore, one can believe that there is the aim of create a new social system, an order.
What the immunity passports really do in the end, this is what we're hearing from Israel, which is probably at the forefront of this, is it's creating vaccine apartheid.
The Jews were, throughout the Nazi period, demonized as spreaders of disease. And currently, the demonization of people who are unvaccinated against COVID-19 are also being blamed as spreaders of disease.
It's almost like a civil war-like scenario which we're ending up with. People who got vaccinated and people who didn't get vaccinated. People who got vaccinated supposedly will get their rights back, as though we need someone to tell us that we have our rights. No, these rights have always been there.
If a few people want to control the many, the question is how can you herd all the sheep into the slaughterhouse without them realizing and resisting? So the perfect thing is invisible enemies. Virus is perfect because it's invisible. You can't prove that it doesn't exist because it's invisible. So invisible enemies are always the preferred one, particularly if they scare people. If you can use fear and introduce significant fear, then people will need government to protect them from the invisible enemy. Then the second tactic, which is very effective, is divide and conquer. The media plays a very important role. If you can turn men and women against each other and black and white against each other, these are all ways to institute fear and get people to go along with things. What COVID-19 is the institution of controls necessary to convert the planet from democratic process to technocracy. So what we're watching is a change in control and an engineering of new control systems. So think of this as a coup d'etat. It's much more like a coup d'etat than a virus.
And this is always the trick. Once you have the people scared, they will accept everything. The plan is very clear. The health crisis has been used to achieve a total control on the economy, on the lives of the people. They want to transform the world into a system which is probably close to the Chinese system. You know, in China, they have this social point system. They have no freedom whatsoever. They are just in a big cage, in a big prison, an open-air prison where you have to do whatever you're supposed to do.
China is very important because it's a laboratory of the life which will come here with the social credit and all these things. We want you to produce, we want you to behave such ways, etc. They are going to say, now you stay at home, you are linked to such place with smart cities or smart region, and you don't move from your place.
Where infections are high, people will be told to stay within 15 kilometers of their home.
What do you make of the government's move to restrict freedom of movement to within 15 kilometers of a person's home? Does that not raise legal questions about fundamental rights?
In a word or a sentence, 2020.
That recovery.
2021.
Normalcy.
We used to say you will be unique and your unicity is very important. A normalized, hyper-normalized world, they want you to be the same guy if you are in Switzerland, or they don't need anymore your unicity.
There are many, many people who have phones and do digital banking on their phone. They have access to money on their phone, mobile money. But all of a sudden, people really said, oh my gosh, to not have to stand in line for my government payment where I might get sick.
I mean, I assure you, whatever anybody pays you with unemployment compensation, it's not worth giving up your freedom.
That is an opportunity we can use.
Ultimately, what it's going to evolve into is a financial transaction system where I can stop you from moving around spatially, or I can turn off your ability to transact.
They want you to obey and to answer to procedures. They want to have the same procedures if you are in Switzerland, in France, in Italy, Germany, China. Why? Because the money is the same all over the world. The hand who hold the money is the same all over the world.
The discussion is not allowed. If you're calmed down, if you're wiped out in the channels, if your books are burnt, I think this is a society I don't want to live in. And then I start fighting.
Well, the few try to control the many with threats of imprisonment, threats of fines, and the reality is, the people that would come out to arrest me, the deputies, the sheriffs, the police, they're of the same mindset as well. They're Americans as well. They're not robots. They're also Americans that want their freedoms as well. It's been a year, and we're still dealing with these mandates and regulations. And they always throw the word out, temporary. Well, what is temporary? I mean, is temporary 5 years? Is it 10 years? Is it 20 years? What is temporary? I mean, to me, it's been this long, it's permanent. You may think that it's difficult to fight against the government. It's a big bad government. You can't win. But the government needs to realize that it's the other way around. They're fighting against the big bad people of America. They can't win. There's way more of us. And if they want that fight, then they can have it. We're not going to back down. True Americans will not back down ever, and we'll win. We're not going to lay down. We're not going to run from a fight with the government. That's what they want you to do. They try to beat you down financially and with all these different regulations and mandates, and they hope that you just eventually kneel down and kiss the ring. But it's something that I'm never going to do. I'll fight as long as I have to, as hard as I have to.
The first step is very, very difficult sometimes. You just have to decide what is more important, that everything is quiet and you don't have problems, or whether you have more problems if you don't say it.
Yeah, attacks on freedom were coming from politics and ideology and so on, and now they are coming from health experts, if they are health experts, I don't know. So it's a very intransparent thing.
You think it is a pandemic, a viral problem. This is a sanitary problem. If you unfold the monster, you will see medical crisis. It's a science crisis. It's a social crisis. It's a political crisis. It's a financial crisis, an economic crisis, a school crisis, a societal crisis. And all those crises were already there. I'm 42 years old, and all my life I've been told, we're
all right, everybody. Beautiful V is here. I've got to announce it every time she comes in. Beautiful V is here. Welcome, beautiful V. So remember, guys, no discussion of the flat earth while V is here. Welcome, V. Good to see you.
We're in the crisis. It's the crisis. But now it's precipitating into this COVID crisis, and it's a call for solving it. We have to take this opportunity. If we don't take it, it's going to come back again, harder and more violent.
If people would have said no, there would have been no Holocaust. We have to take responsibility for our decisions. And sometimes they'll be wrong, but we'll learn from them. But when they're wrong, when others make those decisions for us, we don't learn and they never change.
History is really important, because the ones who don't know history are doomed to repeat it. And there is basically nothing new under the sun. So whatever we are witnessing right now, all these kind of things have already happened. And it was always, the rulers against the servants. And I think it's time, to change that. People should understand that we don't need rulers.
To say no is the condition to your freedom. Today you have the choice. You have the choice to stagnate and be imprisoned in the rhetoric of the government, the media, the academic world who wants you to be sick all the time, or you can run without a mask. You can be free, and you know your body, you know you're healthy, you know who you are, and you can just go. You're not alone.
I lose all my side jobs, or I lose friends. You lose a lot of people who don't want you to say it, to speak out, because it makes them feel bad when you speak out and they don't dare to speak out.
Everybody's trying to suck up to them and get along so that they can have a role in the new system. That's not a system you want to live in.
I have a responsibility as a politician, as a doctor who knows those things. I am the one who trained all his life dealing with infections, with epidemics, with epidemiology. This is my work. So if I would be quiet, I could not see myself in the mirror anymore.
Courage is still having the motivation to fight when the odds are stacked against you, or when the perception is the odds are stacked against you. The courage to still fight and still believe that you can win. That's what courage is.
But what I would say to the middle group of people who are saying, I know that this is wrong, but I'm afraid, so this is your moment to really be a patriot, to stand up for your country, to stand up for your friends, your family, your community, your state, your country. And we need you to do it.
Liberty and personal responsibility are like two projections of the same underlying natural substance. If you're not a dictator with yourself, you cannot be free. We will have external anarchy when we have internal monarchy. So the state rules because the people have formed this institution and delegated to it the natural right they have to protect themselves, for example. And so a natural question arises, who could have delegated this to the state?
The governments, the state officials, the ones who wield power, they are entitled to do things which would be criminal if they would be done by all the other people.
What is the purpose of voting if no one has the right to do what they're voting about? I don't have the right to come and steal your shoes. Can I vote to delegate that right to someone else if I don't have that right to begin with?
So, for example, I can't rob you of your money, but if I am the state, I can say, okay, give me 40% of all you earn because it's taxes. And it's not considered robbery, but it's considered taxation, which is perfectly legitimate.
And so democracy in the strict sense where you imagine that the people, the individuals are above the state, means that the state can only have the power that could have been delegated to it in the first place. If no one has the right to regulate plants I ingest or garments I have to wear on my face or jabs I have to inject in my circulatory system, if no one has this right to impose this onto me, then no one can vote to delegate that prerogative, that power either.
One of the complaints of some over mandates is the idea that government is telling people what they can do with their bodies. Does it at all make you uncomfortable, the idea of telling people they must have the vaccine?
Very unusual situations like this require unique and unusual activities. But sometimes for the good of society, that's necessary.
And the Chancellor Angela Merkel says vaccines may become compulsory from February.
This is not about freedom or personal choice.
As far as vaccines are concerned, we are entering into a very basic problem of the relationship between human beings. The problem...
Our fearless president wasn't joking there, was he? Golly, what a nut.
...is who is the owner of his own body. If you say that you are not the owner of your body, then you can accept that the government can make a vaccine mandate. But this is a violation of our human condition, which is based at least on self-ownership.
I own my own body, I own my own mind. It's a war against free speech. And it's also a war against self-responsibility. When the government tells you what to do, how you have to protect yourself. But this is not the way it should be.
The awareness is really the main purpose in consciousness awareness. That's about it. So yes, it is wake-up call. And how can you wake up? I think a simple method is to observe yourself, to distinguish, let's say, authenticity, so yourself from something else.
I'm walking in the street, and what do I want in my life? I want to be happy. How do you project yourself? You are today deciding everything you want about the next step, and trust. You trust it. You know how to walk your life. You have lived up to now, and you can be only better. But don't listen to the media or to the government to tell you who you are and what you have to be. This is where the trap is. You're not a mice that's going to go in the trap. You are you, your life, and you're going to walk into your beautiful life.
As long as you exist, it's never too late. So if the purpose of life is learning, you actually have sometimes, that's also a law, go through crisis so that you wake up as that might be. So you see the power relations and that you are a victim and so on. And then maybe one person decides, I refuse to be a victim anymore and I want to, support my own existence. And there are still many ways, of course.
In fact, being hurt and being confused brings you to more self-development and self-consciousness. So I think it's necessary, but you have to know that you have to work on it.
I want to live in a society where we strive for truth, where we try to find out the right way for all of us. And I think this is worthwhile. I feel good doing this.
To keep your personal idealism is one of the most important goals in one's life, because it gives you direction. It gives you curiosity and research about what is preventing me from reaching that and so on.
I think it does help if you think that you have a higher purpose, if you have a calling that's beyond this life and beyond the narrow situation in which you find yourself. You need to be able to draw on that. I think honestly to endure the hostility of those around you who assume that you're crazy for challenging it.
Now, if I would tell you, for example, and out myself about an ideal I'm carrying inside me, I would say a lot about me. So, for example, my probably biggest ideal to reach is freedom, is liberty. And I know that it's an ideal that I'm not, 100% free. So now you know a lot about me when I say liberty is important for me. And then I have many obstacles, of course. And at the moment I have even a government who is telling me really things that he would not dare to tell me a couple of months ago.
I'm 17 years old and a student from Germany, Bavaria. We go to the demonstrations because we want a better world with more freedom, more civil rights, and this liberty to have to decide about our own body and nobody to force us to do anything about it, like wearing mask or a vaccine. The pupils have to wear masks the whole day, even during sport lesson, during PE. They wear the mask because they are told otherwise it would be their fault that their grandparents die or that their parents get sick or that the whole school would be closed because of them, because they would be like spreaders or super spreaders. The distance is affecting the kids in that way that it's bad for their mental health, because they often need this contact to their friends, like hugging each other and holding hands and touching. It's something very natural.
My name's Emma. I'm 11 years old. I'm in the 5th grade. I live in Portugal. Most of the time when I was at school, I wasn't able to breathe and I started to get headaches. And when I had headaches, I couldn't really think about what I'm doing. And some teachers don't even let us take a breath.
I will
wear a mask to school. I wear a mask to school. Hi ho the dairy-o, I wear a mask to school. It helps to keep me safe. It helps to keep me safe. Hi ho the dairy-o, it helps to keep me safe.
Now, whoever the teacher was in that class, the principal, or whatever, that whole damn school, they need to be, I better not say what they need to be because I'd like to keep my stream up, but oh Lord, that's infuriating.
Right now, they're being deprived of learning that, how to decipher people's expressions, body language. There's more to it. And when you hide the face, you're hiding everything, essentially. People no longer act freely.
In front of our children, we have the duty to say the truth. Our children wearing masks, it is impossible. It's a thing we cannot tolerate, that children are damaged like that.
Their whole curriculum is changed and there is no reason. So the school are the place of political war and the heads of the schools, and that happens in France, in Switzerland, everywhere in Europe, that the head of the school is going with the rhetoric and he's obeying and say, we are going to close the school. What's going on? You see, the parents are starting to wonder if they can have to do a school on their own.
I don't feel like I'm learning a lot of stuff at school because, well, they talk a lot about COVID and stuff and really don't talk much about what we're supposed to learn. We keep wearing the mask and all that stuff, and the cases still keep going up, so why wear them? They don't do anything.
For me, the mask is a symbol of slavery and of obedience. Like, the people just obey to what the government says and don't question it, don't think about it, don't think, does it make sense? Don't think about how bad it is for their health.
The fact that they can get parents to suspend their responsibility for their children and follow directives that are changed between Monday and Thursday. I mean, what the heck? I can't believe it. We're talking about people who are educated. And I'm afraid that what's happened is that the university education, they've turned the graduates, instead of thinking people, into just accepting people who look to the authority to tell them what the next step is, what they're supposed to think, how they're supposed to, what the right theory. And the whole idea of going along to get along, all those kind of excuses. People want to go on vacation, people want this, and people who give in today may not ever be able to raise their voice again.
People are like kids. They're obeying to a government, to the media, without questioning themselves. You know, it's also reassurance. It's reassurance, the Stockholm syndrome. My abusive parent is protecting me. It's the dilemma of security versus abuse.
dreht gerade einen Film mit dem Titel Overcoming the Fear, deswegen ist jetzt hier schon mal auf der Bühne und macht ein paar Schnapsschüsse.
So we had a leak document from our interior ministry, and it says we have to put fear into the people. Yeah. So it was a plan to spread as much fear to the people as possible, so that every child has the fear of killing their grandparents if it goes out, or if it goes to them. It's all about fear. We have globally, propaganda, and we have globally a fear propaganda.
Well, these people don't look so afraid.
No, we don't. We are not afraid. It's getting bigger and bigger, and the more they force us, the more people join us.
We've had a world where, where one portion of the globe has benefited by exploiting the other portion of the globe. Now we're globalizing, and the question is, will we grow up and live in a world where we all can exercise our potential? Or is it going to be just a few and then everybody else provides? So we've been in a middle state, and now it's all or nothing.
So this is true luxury. Not marble or caviar, but silence, space, and time. In order to introduce the collectivist world in which individuals don't matter anymore, in order to do this successfully, they had to refute and falsify the very notion of truth, the very notion of right versus wrong. Even if there's a terrible pandemic where we see actual people falling on the ground, would this be justification to enslave humanity? No, of course not. Why don't we kill everyone with tuberculosis? That would eradicate the disease. Why don't we do this? Why don't we gather them in camps and exterminate them? This would be practical. So why don't we do it? Nobody in his right mind would advocate for doing such a thing because it's immoral. So moral exists. So then how do we define it and how do we explain it?
We understand, we're capable of reasoning. And reason automatically leads towards the golden rule. That people act in a good way. Because you don't want to be killed, you don't want to be stolen, you don't want to be murdered.
Ultimately, our loyalty has got to be the truth. And sometimes that means that actually the situation in which you're in might be really uncomfortable. You might actually, in a sense, feel like you have to be against the world. But you can be against the world and not be against reality itself.
The only option we have is to try and live in conscience, realize this whole tyranny, this whole circus is absurd, that it is immoral, and to opt out from it.
When I leave the planet and somebody is writing my obituary, what do I want them to write? Do I want them to say, well, that Pam, she was always so easy to get along with, just went along with whatever, never raised a fuss about anything, didn't make anybody mad. Well, maybe there's some merit in that to some people, but I think what I want people to write about me is I stood for something, that I did make the tougher choices, that I was willing to take a stand when it was unpopular because it was the right thing to do.
I think first and foremost, what we're dealing with is spiritual. And the outcome depends on our ability to spiritually evolve and grow up. So, I tell everybody death is not the worst thing that can happen here. What can happen is you can lose your immortal soul.
And if you lose the fear of death, if you understand nothing can harm you and there's nothing to fear, which is a very good news, if you realize this, you're free.
Hug your friend, speak with your neighbor, put off your mask and get back to accepting that we suffer, that we die, that we are sick, and that we should take seriously could. That means help each other.
When you say no, you are saying yes to a new life and to a new crowd. And this is beautiful. And you will always be helped and supported by the people who are getting free, because they will welcome anybody who wants to change. Even if I take a risk, even if I have no money, even if I have no education, I will manage in life. And so many manage, and so many can have a beautiful life.
But we don't have the power to stop the central bankers from doing what they're doing, but my prediction is they will fail. It's too hard, it's too complicated, and it's too outside the laws of nature or the laws of divine intelligence.
At the end, there will be a sort of revolution. I'm sure, because all that is against nature, against science, and that cannot last. But so at the end, truth will win.
I hope that they will rise up people with common sense from the diverse parts of the society, of goodwill, to resist the new forms of dictatorship in the Western world.
And what can you do? Well, first of all, I would say be the change you want to see in the world. You start with yourself.
And educate yourself, be critical thinkers. It's very important right now.
And you don't need to do what you're told by corrupt scientists who are apparently advising our government.
And before you take a devil's bargain that says, in exchange for this shiny object, maybe air travel, maybe venues for concerts, maybe whatever that thing is, you get it only if you take this industrial chemical intervention. Ask yourself the question, will you be a fully functioning human being at the end of that transaction?
And I hope that all the citizen, the conscious citizen, will go on to fight to regenerate the society and all the world.
The fight is different for everybody, so it's about finding where you're going to be most useful and where you can help push back against all of these encroachments upon our liberties, because the reality is we're getting attacked from all angles.
Civil disobedience, boycotting the businesses which are asking for the Green Pass, going down on the streets with rallies and protests and fighting them in court.
We want to be single people of brothers, never to part in danger nor distress. We want to be free as our fathers were, and rather die than live in slavery. We want to trust in the one highest God and never be afraid of human power.
An allen Kranken, die jetzt wieder reingelassen werden, wir vergessen euch nicht! Oder Lehrer, hinterfragen und handeln entsprechend! An alle Kommunalpolitiker, hinterfragen und handeln entsprechend! An Jens Spahn, Angela Merkel und Markus Söder, wir klagen an! An alle kritisch denkenden Menschen, schließt euch an! Schließt euch an! Für alle, die ihren Lebenslauf aufgeben mussten, wir laufen für euch! Wir laufen für euch!
If they want to make us a machine, if they want us to make us slaves, we say no, we don't want to become slaves. So just piss off. We don't need you anymore. We are many. We can just go on. We can just go to bars and go to shops. We don't have to be afraid of any pandemic.
Die Grappa, wenn du trinkst Grappa, Coronavirus, den Covid-19, Bleib weg. Okay, habe ich gesagt, kriegen wir eine Grappa.
Yes, Lisa, as a matter of fact, I am feeling a little better tonight. But, just always hope for better tomorrows. Thank you for asking. Appreciate that. That's just showing those people, that, well, they're good folks around the world, but still, they'll be there whether I show them or not. So now, I think, y'all think I ought to play this video chap sent in? It may break my computer. Just messing with you, chap. I got to find which one it is. I think it is that one there. Okay. I got to find it on here. Make sure it's showing. And it is. It is. It is. It is.
Actually, this dates, it falls along with HAARP. When HAARP was actually going out to project waves and stuff like that, they've come out and they've said that we're going to deploy at major airports. So I'm going to tell you what those airports are and what location you're going to be looking for them to be expanding this program in. And we're talking testing is going to be happening as well for something that they're looking for. So in the back scenes of all this, the question is, have you traveled already and you came to an airport and you were stopped and you was like, wait a minute, why is this program even happening right now? They say 4 major airports on here, but when we look at the map, it seems like it's more than just 4 major airports here. So we want to give you this information so you and your family and everybody can pretty much know what is going on before it happens. And we got the potential next plans for what it could be that basically spreads across. So we're going to talk about all this stuff here today. Firstly, let's go ahead and get into it though. They come out in the report and they say on their website, CDC expands testing of international air travel samples to include flu and RSV and other respiratory viruses. So the question is, you're going to be like, all right, what is RSV? Well, look on screen right here. It says respiratory syncytial, however you say that, virus. It affects lungs, breathing, and passageways. But the fact that they just deploy like this and pop up and now start doing this, it just seems very strange right now, because this means that there's a pretext for something else. Let's let you listen to some of the video.
Chap, would you please post this guy's link? I don't have it here. Well, I guess I do. Never mind. I can go do it.
They're talking about.
As millions of people prepare to travel for the holidays, the CDC is expanding its traveler-based surveillance program to test for more than 24 pathogens, including the flu and RSV. The agency says the changes will take.
I don't have that link either. So, chap, could you please drop that link, this guy's link in the chat?
Take place at 4 major airports, including Logan. The program launched in 2021 as a way to test international passengers for COVID-19. It operates in 7 major U.S. airports, including Logan, and obtains samples through.
So these are some of the locations here where they're saying they're expanding the program at. Why do they say, oh, well, first it's going to be 4, then it looks like it's more than that? I got another map that I want to show you that's really more comprehensive, and it's going to be right here. And it goes in to show you, it says Seattle, Boston, Newark, Washington, D.C., Los Angeles. And it goes in and it has these nasal swab. It's telling you that San Francisco, Washington, they're gonna be nasal swabbing you. And then it says one side of the United States is gonna do aircraft wastewater. So they're gonna take your wastewater out of the freaking plane. On the right portion of the United States. Let's go over here and look on a map and see exactly where this is at.
Did you know the real cause of your hair loss is not hereditary? It's actually due to your scalp environment.
It looks like it's somewhere either in Boston Airport or John F. Kennedy International Airport, where they're going to go and get your crap in the wastewater, and they're going to use that to, I guess, deem whatever they see fit. Now, what do they see coming? Now, there's multiple things that they're saying they see coming, and one of them they're trying to say it was Nipah is another one that they're trying to say is coming out. And here we go at the bat stuff once again. Symptoms: headache, sore throat, difficult breathing, vomiting, cough, fever. Nipah is one of them they're saying that could be a potential next aspect of what we're going to be dealing with. We don't know for a fact, but they updated this into the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease pandemic pathogens to watch in October. Now, the whole storyline goes into never jump back into fear, because this is what caused us at large in 2020 to basically have everything seized just in seconds. Now, there's another situation as well that they said they're looking at, and they're projecting that. And when I read this, it's so vague. But they say peanut butter could trigger next global pandemic is deadly link established. Scientists have suggested that palm oil could cause a pandemic as deforestation has a part to play in its mass production. They believe it could make the world prone to some type of zoonotic disease. This came out November 5th, 2023. Now, the question is, like, how do you know there's going to be some type of zoonotic disease coming from freaking peanut butter and palm oil when you read into the report? It doesn't really give you anything comprehensive saying that for a fact it could happen. So on screen right here, you're seeing a mass production of nutty spread could make the world open to outbreaks. Zoonotic disease, which is infectious disease that could be transmitted between humans and animals. Okay, so what are you talking about here? Why are you saying this? You read more into this report, it just keeps talking about deforestation, reforestation, palm oil. It really doesn't give you anything of why peanut butter. Now, peanut butter at large, they did vaccinate peanut butter years ago, a long time ago. And so a lot of people started to get allergies to peanut butter. And then they said, all right, we're going to come out with a peanut butter vaccine. They did that years ago. Ben did that. So this peanut butter supply has already been hit. So if anything, they might do something to the peanut butter supply that's different than what we know of. And remember, I was telling you, with all the airports, they were conducting all these major drills, these multi-training drills. Agencies was doing these drills, not just one location, but you can go and look up from October to November and find over probably like 20 to 30 emergency drills that were done at airports. So they expect something else to come to the airports. That's what we know for a fact. They've done so many drills. It's been, some of them was like, the one you just seen was a hazmat emergency, a chemical spill. One of them was a medical emergency. One was a plane crash. So all these different events tie in the crazy things that's probably already being. And we talked yesterday about HARP. So this report came out while HARP was basically doing what they were doing. So they were doing what they were doing for 3 days, right? So again, separately though, we told you that a lot of stuff upticked. People started protesting more. They just went to Black Rock recently. We'll play that video of them going to Black Rock.
Black Rock, you can hide! Black Rock, you can hide! We charge you with genocide! We charge you with genocide!
So my question to you right now, as you're tuning into this video, do you think Black Rock would allow these people in here if they didn't want those people to be in there? Because who in the heck has ever even protested in Black Rock before? That's the real question. So I want to see your answer in the comment section here. And also, you had a lot of symptoms yesterday because of HARP, and we showed you a lot of different things that was happening because HARP fired up. And basically what we're going to do right now is we're going to show you how the EMFs actually affect you. So HARP fired up, and you know, all of a sudden, hey, we need to go to airports and stuff like that, and we need to go and surveil you. We had an earthquake hit that was in Texas. This is the video of that. We're showing it right now. HARP facility fired up over the last few days. People were having the most weirdest symptoms. You all voiced it in the comment section. Give us a whole bunch of likes up while this video is live right now. And if you're just tuning in, we're going to go back to the map again and show you what's going on at these airports. But HARP at large started to fire up, and I told you, I put down a couple notes. I noticed that violent behavior was on an uptick. Speaking of violent behavior, here's what just happened recently. They were at the museum, and there was just this big mass situation broke out. You know what I'm saying? So once again, like I said, as soon as HARP fired up, I'm telling you, like, I have my notepad out and I'm writing it down and I'm looking at multiple reports. Okay, Europe starts to get violent. Okay, now we got violent attacks. Now we got ladies driving through buildings and stuff like that. Now we got all these different situations start to transpire. So all I'm trying to say is that there was something strange happening. Here's what PubMed says about EMF. EMFs disturb immune function through stimulation of various allergic and inflammatory responses, as well as effects on tissue repair process. Such disturbances increase the risk of various diseases, including cancer. So dandelion root is something that I use. Is very good for resisting against cancer, but also you just clean air, like I said, with air purifiers and stuff like that. Highly important. So here's the map. Once again, if you're just tuning in, you don't know what's going on. The map shows here where they're going to be expanding these locations and all the nasal swabs. So you need to tell all your family members, you need to tell everybody in the locations right now. If you're from these areas, if you're from San Francisco, do me a favor, do yourself a favor, do everybody a favor. Share the video out, get it to everybody in San Francisco. If you're in Los Angeles, get it out there. Seattle, get it out there. Boston, John F. Kennedy International Airport, New York, VA, Virginia as well. They're going to be on the list. So this is where they're expanding the surveillance systems. And this just means that they want more surveillance control over society. They're going to try this again. And it starts with this, but they're trying to say it's just the flu now. And I don't get sick. Like over the last 3 years, I wasn't sick, but I did get sick this year, which is highly strange to me. 3 years, come on. Immune system built up hugely strong, everything's good, but for some reason this year I was even affected by something that went through, and I think it was some type of a flu or something like that. All the different things, but definitely recovered from it using just so much, like the colloidal silver, all the different stuff I was using. I'm like, man, this is strong. Like when I look around, like my eyes and stuff like that, you can feel it in the eyes, you can feel it basically in the lung section a little bit. So whatever is happening, they're definitely at large trying to push these events. And I know that the spraying and everything else across the electromagnetic field, that's why we got to arm ourselves with knowledge. For real, this is going to be highly important for us to arm ourselves with knowledge. We need to be more protective of our blood-brain barrier with the EMF hats and stuff like that. That's going to be important. We need to be more serious about getting clean oxygen with activated carbon. We need to be more serious about not being in encirclement. And when I say encirclement, I'm talking about cell tower encirclement. Just like when they have encirclement in war, they encircle you with troops. Well, they don't need to encircle you with troops now. They can encircle you with cell towers and stuff like that. That's another part of the art of warfare that we're dealing with right now. So yes, this surveillance program has been expanded. We'll play a little bit more of the clip here and let you hear a little bit more what they're saying in this video here.
People are now spreading disease in a different way than we had a little bit of a break perhaps during the pandemic, but now we just see an uptick in these viruses.
Public health officials expect hospitalizations for COVID-19, the flu, and RSV to top pre-pandemic levels. CDC data shows as many as 80,000 children under 5 are hospitalized with RSV each year. It's why doctors are scrambling to restock a medication that provides short-term protection for infants. The FDA approved the antibody over the summer, but demand is still outpacing supply.
The increased demand, that means inventory has shot all the way down. So I guess the manufacturers are trying to ramp up inventory of those and get those sent out, but everybody has a waiting list.
Vanessa Welch for your local station, Boston 25 News.
According to data from the CDC, COVID-19 hospitalizations remain steady while flu season is ticking up slightly throughout the country. Doctors are urging pregnant women to get an RSV vaccine, which can reduce hospitalization among babies within the first 6 months.
So it is. If you want to know what's going on, subscribe, click the bell. We're going to be back with more. Also, we brought a highly important report about the guy who was a former cop who talks about the CDC's program with basically the zombie drills, but he also, the more important part is the black unmarked vehicles he talks about that's going to be out in certain events, not because of zombies, black unmarked vehicles. He talks about that. He talks about also the protocols that is very strange. CDC is up to something very, very strange. And you need to check that video out. It's going to be on the left-hand side. Appreciate the super chat. And definitely get this out to everybody in these locations. It's going to be highly critical for them to know this so they don't get caught up in this and be pissed off when they just walk up to the airport and they're like told, hey, you got to do this mandatorily. Actually, no, you don't.
I guess that was all that. He left. But no, he's a good, smart dude. And there's no doubt about it. He puts out some good videos. I watch him quite often myself. I didn't catch that one, though, until just now. But I've got something I want to read here right quick, and you may have already seen this, and maybe you haven't. Let me put it on the screen here so everybody can see it. Let's see if I can find it. There it is. Make sure it's showing. And it's a show. All right, these are the list of the 17 cities that are supposed to be struck by something very bad here pretty soon. And that's, I mean, I already had it up there, but this definitely, that last video definitely reminded me of it. I don't know if y'all can see it or not, so I'll read it. New York City is the number 1. Los Angeles, number 2. Chicago, number 3. Philadelphia, number 4. Washington, D.C., number 5. Houston, number 6. Nashville, number 7. New Orleans, number 8. Charlotte, Number 9, San Francisco 10, Detroit 11, Seattle 12, Atlanta 13, Las Vegas 14, Baltimore 15, Boston 16, Miami 17, 17 cities, one event, and it's not supposed to be a good event. Whatever that event may be, I don't know, but it's not supposed to be a good event. I just put that out there as a, not as a warning or anything, but just to let anybody know that's in or near those cities to keep your guard up. We all need to keep our guard up, but more so in these cities. I mean, I've been hearing about these 17 cities for a long time, and how they find out about them, I don't know, but they have their ways of doing it, I guess. But anyway, everybody just be very safe out there and keep your head on a swivel. Let's see here now. Make sure this one's up there. All right. And this one's just another little read-along thing here, but this is what I was telling about a couple of nights ago. It's Mr. Pooh. And it says, "Are you ready for the truth to come to light and the greatest show on earth to take place? This is when the quantum financial system will be born, QFS." All right, he's showing a shutdown and stay indoors when it's shut down, when the shutdown comes. Now, I've been talking about Mr. Pooh for a long time. I don't know, a year, maybe longer. Anyways, he seems to be right on the money. However the heck he knows things, I don't know, but he definitely seems to. And then the final thing over here is Global Reset, Sunday the 19th. And that's why I said today, and one of the reasons I said today in Hawks Chat, that I think things could very well start from the 17th through the 20th. But again, I think they could start this weekend by Saturday. Whether they be good or bad. I mean, you know, I say it again, I don't think we're going to get out of this all clean as the driven snow by any stretch of the imagination. It'd be nice if we did, but I don't think that's going to happen. Oh, that ain't gonna. I'll try to see if it'll come up. Nope, it won't come up. Not quite what I thought it was anyway. So let me go back to here. That's a long post there, which I don't feel like reading right now. Crap. I ain't gonna go to trouble downloading that. See if I can get this one to show. Boy, it's very small. But I'll go ahead and put it on the screen, because it's what I was talking about earlier a little bit. If I can find it here. Whatever good it is, it's up there on the screen. I know you can't hardly see it, but it says, and this is from QTAR News, by the way, you may have noticed that the verse Jeremiah 11:11 has been trending in the last couple of weeks. And the verse reads, "Therefore, this is what the Lord says, I am about to bring on them disaster that they cannot escape. They will cry out to me, but I will not hear them." Jeremiah 11:11. That's just a little bit from the Bible. And you know, I look at so much stuff almost every day. Not every day, but almost every day. And as I said before, I have strong belief in God, in Christ, and so I try to put all the stuff. I take the bad stuff into account too, but I don't let it affect me. If that's the right word. I don't let it sway me near as much as I do the good news. All right, Lisa, I'll check that out right quick. Most definitely will. If I get to stop playing long enough to.
Hey guys, what's up? Thought I'd give you guys an update here. As you can see here, guys, this is Soho, and what we're looking at a full halo eruption. This thing ends up being pretty decent size, and now we have some confirmation of this thing is coming right at us. Okay, it's a full halo eruption, like I reported earlier on today when this first happened. I wasn't quite sure exactly how strong this was going to be, but we're definitely looking at something here that we're going to have to pay attention to. Okay. It does look to be a little bit on the faster side. And as you're looking at this is SDO right here. And I zoom in here to show you the eruption. Basically, it went from the southern hemisphere across equatorial regions into the northern hemisphere, and it was interacting with other sunspots. When that's happening, guys, that means, both hemispheres are communicating with one another, and that's pointing towards the polarity flip on the sun cycle. But as far as this one goes, this was a longer duration eruption. This was not a flare. Okay, this was just an eruption, a CME. Okay, it's not a filament either. It's just plasma erupting out. Okay, and this thing is directly coming right at us. NASA, NOAA, all the models are showing it. Okay, it's coming right at us, like I spoke earlier today about. I do think we need to keep an eye on this one, because if this thing is moving just a little bit faster than what a normal one would be, it's already given us an increase in proton density, right? That's a radiation storm. We're not quite to S1 level yet. I don't think we're going to get there, because I think it's starting to tail off now already. But it does show an increase in proton density. So when we're seeing that does point to, at least a more dense CME coming at us. So we'll have to wait and see what the polarity is on this one coming at us. If it does take our BZ, which is what I talk about all the time, to -6 or bigger, or lower, I guess, if you want to go negative with that, we could see substantial stuff from this. We're going to see Aurora, no doubt. I've been talking about Aurora for a long, long time now. I'm going to be doing a full video on that, by the way. I mentioned that earlier today. And I also mentioned, I think you guys go watch Ben over at Suspicious Observer. He did a video also on this, on Aurora, and it was pointing to everything that we've all been talking about. Well, I wouldn't say all of us, but quite a few of us have, at least a few of us anyway. But he did a really good job. He's way above my pay grade. So, go check that out. But as you can see this right here, this is NASA's model. All three axes it's hitting. Okay, the top, the side view, and the orbital line stretched out. This is NOAA's model. And as you can see there, guys, same thing. I'll zoom in here, guys, and you'll see what I'm talking about. And I am going to, this is the velocity here at the top. No, I'm sorry. This is the density. Okay. And it is going to be pushing 15. 4 is what we consider normal. It may be more than that. Don't know yet, guys. It's still early on, but this is slated to hit Saturday or Sunday. So, I'm going to be keeping you guys updated. Now, you're looking at the velocity here on the bottom. We're already in, from the coronal hole and the other geomagnetic storm we just got out of. So our magnetic field really hasn't fully got back to normal yet. We're still reverberating a little bit. So this could give us some substantial stuff. So yeah, guys, I'll keep you guys updated as much as I can. I'll probably do another live stream. Trinity may be with me tomorrow on my live stream. I couldn't get enough time to do a live stream tonight, or I would have done it. Please go watch Mark Flugel. Dex and Adam over there are doing great stuff, guys. And I think he's going to put this on the overflow over on markflugel.com. So please go check out the website there too. And everybody on the friends and mod list over there, they're great people. God bless. Yahusha saves, and you can drink this Kool-Aid.
And there's that. And there's so many things I could say about those. Well, first of all, maybe I'll just put it the way I look at things, and that is, to me, the sun could very well be in the Earth's atmosphere inside it, just like the moon is. And so if it is, now I'm not saying it is, right? I'm saying I don't know. But in the second, I don't trust NASA at all. Anything that's set up and ran by them, it's hard for me to trust them. I mean, it just is. And I know a lot of people that I won't mention, but they're like they're totally controlled by the government. They're so used to it and everything that you just can't get them out of it. And I'm not saying that you are, Lisa. I'm just saying, that it's all, it's just too hard for some folks to figure out. But myself, I just don't buy into all. I mean, how many of these we supposed to have now? About 50 of these flares at the Earth and what have you. I mean, I for one don't believe it. But if it happens, well, it happens. And I'm not a scientist. I'm not an astronomer, an astrologist, or nothing else. I'm just here. So I'm just saying that for what I consider to be common sense, I just don't buy into it. Your chat is behind what, V? Did you lose it? I'm messing with you, V. I love you. I love you. All right, so let me see what else I can find here, if anything. I don't know if I can get this in the load or not, but I'm going to try. Now, I want to download all of them. Take forever and a day. Crap. Let's see. Oh, it's the same one I just already showed. That's one I've already showed too. And this is the one I was going to show, one by the Jim Willie interview, but Hawk beat me to it. But anyways, it don't really matter because I got to get up and go to the darn doctor tomorrow anyway, as much as I really, really, really don't want to. But I got to. So I can't start another. I don't want to start another video because, I don't want to stop in the middle or something again. So I'll just wait tomorrow night or whatever to do the next ones. That's why I didn't put up any more than I did. I agree. That's what they say it is anyway, as a virus. But you know what I've been finding a lot of here lately, Janice, is that virus has got a lot of worms in it for some reason or another. Just I wished I knew this site. It was on another guy's video, and he's not up anymore, so I can't even go there and get it. But it shows the scientists are doing an experiment, whatever you want to call it, and they show these worms crawling all through all of our system. It's not just one or the other; it's all of us. And these worms, as they pass through the lung kind of walls them off and, traps them. And then somehow or another, they keep getting in there and it keeps walling them off. And that's what they say a tumor is. And so when it gets big enough, it just blows up. And that's when it busts, and, whoever's got that tumor in them bleeds to death. Well, I ain't going no proctologist thing. I have to pass them up. Yeah, it's Hawk's fault, y'all. It's always Hawk's fault. It's either Hawk's fault or Big Chap's, one or the other. Always. No, I did. I had the same video, Hawk. And I had two of them, as a matter of fact, that I was going to play. And when I was watching your day, I thought, doggone it. Yeah, Hawk beat me to the draw again. But that's all right. At least one of us showed it. It ain't no big thing to me as long as one of us gets it on there. I might just go back and start showing Hawk streams on here, and save myself the trouble of doing all this hunting down and everything. I'm just kidding there, y'all. Hawk's my buddy, and he knows that. I love you too, Miss Karen. You have a great night too. And I tell you what, I am feeling pretty good tonight. Probably won't tomorrow. And probably when I go to bed, I won't be able to go to sleep for 3 hours. That's my luck. But, I got to try, I guess, so I can get my butt up and go. I wouldn't even go if it wasn't for my curiosity in finding out what that stinking test showed. But here's the thing about those tests. Every one they do, where they put the whatever it's called, the not radiation, but about the same difference, I guess. But anyway, they give you this shot before you go and take this PET scan, and it's got radiation in it. And then you go in to take the test, and of course the test is that's all X-rays are, is radiation. So you get a crap load of that, and so you're kind of making yourself sick while you're trying to make yourself well. So I don't know. It just don't make a lot of sense to me in a lot of ways, other than thinking about it the way I think about it, and that is that we're being ran and have been being ran by a bunch of crooks now forever. He definitely is, B. Hawk is much appreciated. Thank you, License. Appreciate that. But I don't, I'm not going to have any more of them. Well, I might have one more of the tests just to see if, if it don't kill me within the next few months. I'm saying I might have one more test somewhere down the road just to see if I've still got it or if it's gone or whatever. But other than that, I'm not having no more. I've wondered that same thing myself, Margaret, over and over again. There's the official announcement by Mr. William Kramer Jr., my announcer. That was a damn good show. Why'd you leave out the yeah? You're supposed to say, yeah. Oh, me. All right, let me go back. I'm not quite ready to go to bed just this minute. I'm going to stay for a few more minutes anyway. Well, there's Miss Connie Carlo. I just now saw you, Connie. You must have snuck in when I wasn't looking. Welcome, Connie. Good to see you. Let me see if there's any more good comments back up the road here. Let's see. Oh, I've got some of those, Miss Connie. Got them in vitamin form and in the actual kernel form that I had to smush up with a hammer and add honey to them before I can even think about taking them. Let's see what this was. Oh, I agree, Kurt. I think that I've got some of the best people in my chat in the world, and a lot of them, several of them anyway, come from Hawk's channel. And I appreciate Hawk all that much more for sending them over. But regardless of, whether they're here or not, I always have great people here. So thank you, Kurt. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's what I've heard, Janice, over and over. Believe me, I've got my eye out for them. I'm talking about one you just go jump in and be cured, however long it takes. I can't afford to buy one of them expensive suckers, that's for sure. We can all come over, Ronnie. Got a brand new deck of cards. Well, come on over, Blackwatch. Bring them cards. Your money, too, because I'm going to beat you at poker. License says, last one. If I hit the lottery, Ronnie, he's getting a studio, and Mr. Landon and Miss Tiff getting one, too. I tell you what, that sounds good to me. Hurry up and hit it there, License, so we can all get us a studio and live happily ever after. V, is it all right with you if I have one of them long goodbye nights? You know how Southerners are. We like them long goodbyes. Sometimes. Let's see. There it is. Well, yeah. Yeah, please send them on, Janice. I'll definitely take a look. Thank you. I know you're a licensed. You got to try harder, brother. I've tried my best to hit them a lot of times, too, and ain't made it yet. There's a yeah. I knew you'd be there. Thank you, William. Appreciate that. There's a lady in one of the groups I go to has had 7 treatments in the med bed. Oh, really? I've heard they're out in certain cities, but I can't find what cities it's in. Well, actually, I hear they're all around the country, but they just ain't released the addresses of where they're at. Cities or anything in most cases. If they're around here, I sure ain't heard nothing about them. Yeah, they hadn't been taking that, V. Hadn't been taking my blood, but I think they're trying to take something else, I think they try to take your very essence. Oh, I'll put it in the chat, Janice. Well, I've got to get my microphone out of the way. That's it. Well, I ain't going to ask what that reason was, William. All right. Yeah, please. Oh, wrong one. Yeah, please do. Lisa, I would definitely appreciate finding out where they're at. I would love to find one anywhere, between here, where I'm at right now, between here, I'm in Texas, between here, Austin, Texas, or Oklahoma City. If I had to drive that far, I'd do it. I'd probably drive farther if I had to. But, if I drove that far, I would probably have to have someone to drive me, or at least ride with me. I don't know if anyone's that stupid anymore or not to ride that far with me. Not saying I was a bad driver. I wasn't then, but I am. I may be now. I don't even think I'm a bad driver now. But then again, I've aged a few years. Sometimes I don't trust me. But anyway, folks, unless y'all got something else you want to say, I guess I'll go ahead and shut it down. Let's see. The scalar wave technology is also in the wellness place at Cape Canaveral. That's a little far. For me, anyway. V, I want you to sing tonight. You ain't never sang yet. You keep saying you're going to, but you never do. You ain't even sent me a video or anything for me to play. Thank you, Miss Janice, and same to you. And God bless everyone in the chat. You too, Wolverines. Good night, brother. Thank you, chap. Same to you, brother. Have a good night. Appreciate you watching, chap. Good night, Miss Cheryl. And thanks for watching. But you don't have to be drinking. All you got to do is come up and let it rip. You don't have to be on camera. You don't even have to say, you can put somebody else in it on there, you know, for you don't have to say unspecified V. You should. You told me you was already going to be working on it. You know, you might have been drinking that night or day, whatever it was that you told me that. You said you was going to make a video or a audio, whatever, and send it to me, and you never did. And good night, Virginia. Thank you for watching. If I was to drink a fifth of bourbon, I'd be out forever in a day. That's too long. Shy. Yeah, you're shy, all right. Good night, Hawk, and thank you, brother. I'll try to see you tomorrow afternoon when I get back from the doctor. If you're on, are you going to be on tomorrow, Hawk? I never know for sure with Hawk. I don't know what time I'll get back. Oh. Yeah, I see it. I see it, William. Anyway, guys, I'm going to get off here, I guess, and go on and get in bed. Around noon? Okay. Around noon? Let's see, I think my appointment's at 2. I'm not sure exactly what time it is or whatever. But anyway, when I get back, I'll definitely check you out, Hawk. All right, so all y'all good folks out there, be careful. Have a great, blessed night. And don't forget to say your prayers. And once you say those prayers, say some more. Much love to everybody, and we'll see y'all on the next one, which very well could be, I always say tomorrow night, meaning tonight. If I say tonight, y'all gonna say, well, you're on now. So anyway, Friday night, I hope to be back. All right, chap, I'll do it, brother. Whatever time I get back, I don't know. Let's see. Well, we'll see all you guys on the next one. Y'all sleep tight. And good night. Good night.